That's the key. We found a way to win.
Now back to throw, looking long down the middle of the field for Jimmy Smith. James Stewart, he to McCardell's got it.
Check your humanity at the door.
His hit, sacked, down he goes.
The road to Atlanta goes through Jacksonville. Watch us today.
It's a touchdown. All right, Miami.
That kid is unbelievable, isn't he?
Dan Marino cannot throw the ball.
More touchdowns than any other man in National Football League history.
Damon Ewart is in at quarterback for Miami.
What a joy it has been to watch that man play football.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Jim Nantz, and welcome to our special AFC playoff edition of the NFL Today presented by Southwest Airlines. We begin the divisional weekend with bookends, if you will, here at CBS. Today, Miami at Jacksonville, 1/2 hour away, and we conclude tomorrow with Tennessee against Indianapolis. And joining me for all the games all weekend long, Craig, Randy, and Jerry. I don't know about you guys. I got a feeling this could be like a upset Saturday coming here, partner. What do you think?
We're coming together, huh? Hey, not only today, but could be Sunday. And I like our, we've thought about this, and you and I may have a little guts to step out there and say which quarterbacks will make a difference in this show.
You're taking those old vets, are you?
Just stick around.
This is my favorite weekend because it's about college football kind of weekend, the way it feels, the way the games are. Today is Saturday. That means defense. Tomorrow is offense and the ball's in the air, but I can't wait to see the defenses today.
But what you got to watch today is some of these teams have been on a bye week, and when you're on a bye week, your legs are fresher. When I used to coach I had to win the wild card. So now you go in there. I look over at the second quarter, and that bye week team all of a sudden is fresher, quicker, and faster. Watch for that today. My teams got slower.
They were better too. That's the problem.
They were right there. That was it.
Your team started slow.
That's why you should have won the division. Forget the wild card. Right now, let's check in live with our colleagues who will be calling the action in Jacksonville, Vern Lundquist and Dan Deerdorf. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi, Jim. How are you? Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars had the bye week. They've got this gaudy 14-2 record. But, Dan, they do have some concerns surrounding health.
Yeah, they really do, Vern. It starts with their quarterback, Mark Brunell. Next to the last week of this season, he tore a ligament in his knee, in his left knee. He's wearing 2 braces today. Big question mark. Mark's mobility, which means can he protect himself? Also on the offensive line, in the season finale, they lost all-world left tackle Tony Baselli. Today, he's replaced by guard Ben Coleman. Question mark there.
Miami goes on the road, wins in Seattle last week, but they do so with a limited number of passes from Dan Marino.
And it worked, and that means no interceptions, Vern, and that's what Dan Marino threw last week in Seattle. And he's got confidence because of that 85-yard game-winning drive in the fourth quarter. The other reason the Dolphins have confidence is because of the play of their defense and because of these 2 big guys inside, Gardner and Bowens. And quite frankly, Jacksonville a little concerned as to whether they can block these 2.
Only the second time these 2 in-state teams have met. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Vern, Dan, look forward to your call very much. And Craig, you had a chance to stop off in Jacksonville this week, and you didn't feel all that confident about the Jags after you were down there.
And you usually leave really feeling good about a team. Hey, even though Mark Brunell's starting today, everyone will be wondering how's the knee and how effective can he be in running the Jaguars' offense. I asked him about that.
It's not 100% right now, but it feels good. I can move around. I can move in the pocket. Probably won't be as mobile as I usually am, but that's all right. It feels strong, getting stronger every day. And but once the game starts, you forget about the injury, you forget about the leg, and you just go play.
You're expecting them to come to the pocket and force you to move.
For sure. I mean, I'm sure that's part of their game plan, but that's okay. We've got some pretty good linemen up there, and we got to keep those guys out.
It's hard to replace a guy like Tony Baselli.
It really is because, on the field he's a great player, but he's also a great leader on our team. I'd say that Tony's probably our most vocal guy on the team, a guy that gets the other guys going, rallies them, and is yelling and screaming, And he does a great job at that, and we don't have that, so other guys have to pick it up.
Taylor running left, finds a seam, exploits. There he goes to the 45-50, spray at the 30, takes a foot, breaks 10. Touchdown, Fred Taylor.
I just want to run the ball, keep the defense off balance. We're too close to not help each other out. We got to help each other out. We're just 2 games away, and everybody realizes that.
Bell fires into the end zone. Keenan McCardle, touchdown.
I think they're probably going to take the approach, make Mark beat us, make the receivers beat us, and we're going to be up to the challenge, and I can't wait. I mean, you get pressed man-to-man coverage, you got to win. You got to, when you get that opportunity with man-to-man coverage, you got to make a big play.
One thing's for sure, Miami's defense has confidence right now. They're playing well, they're fast and quick. Can Brunell avoid them? Mobility will be very important for him today, or Mr. Fiedler may get a chance to come out there. And you see Mark, whenever he walked into the meeting with me, he had 2 knee braces on. Yeah. That's not natural.
Yeah. And don't forget, when they met last year, Taylor broke a long one, some 70 yards in the first play of the game. That Miami defense, I'm sure, is aware of that too. Now, later today on Florida's Gulf Coast, the NFC Central champion Tampa Bay Bucks, coming off a bye, will host NFC East champion Washington. The Redskins just buried the Lions in their wild card matchup last week, and our Marcus Allen is in Tampa with the latest on today's NFC Divisional Playoff Showdown. Marcus?
Well, Jim, I've been down here the last couple of days, and the atmosphere is electric. As far as Stephen Davis is concerned, the clear news is his ankle is just about the same way it was last week when he rushed for over 100 yards against Detroit in the first half. What's unclear is his knee. Now, based on personal experience, knees could be somewhat iffy. One wrong move, one hard hit, and you're out of the game. In any case, the Skins feel even if Stephen's starting, they're in for a severe challenge against the Buccaneers defense.
They're a team that's very aggressive. They're very quick. Their schemes are always in the right place. They have 11 guys tackling the ball.
I think they're extremely well coached, and I think they have a very specific plan, and they're going to stick with that plan. They do a good job of mixing the play-action pass. They will take shots down the field. They're very efficient with what they do on offense.
It's do or die. So, you're going to get my best. I'm going to expect to get your best, and may the best man win, and we'll walk off the field one way or the other.
We're just 2 steps away from the greatest show on earth, and, the prize is right there in front of us. It's just our opportunity to go out and seize this opportunity, and I think we're all prepared for that.
For us, it's really trying to eliminate the big play, not give Stephen Davis the 40-yard run, not give him the 35-yard pass. If we can make him use a lot of plays, then that's going to be to our benefit.
Well, it's obvious that both teams are prepared to play today, but the prevailing feeling around the Redskins organization is if they strike early, the Buccaneers do not have the offense to play catch-up. Jim?
All right, of course, the big question there, too, the rookie quarterback, Sean King, for the Bucs. How will he respond? Let's go to today's IBM Power Poll, where Craig and Randy can offer their keys to the Bucs-Redskins game. Folks, take note. Craig, you're up first.
All right, let's start with the Redskins. Number 5, Stephen Davis. You got to hope that the guy shows up and can play, but assume he can't. Larry Centers has got to get out of the backfield and catch the ball. He's outstanding. Number 3, come on, Dan and Dana. Earn the money on that D-line. Physical offensive line play. Don't talk trash. Just play hard and make Sean King play quarterback, not just hand the ball off.
Well, I'll take the Tampa Bay side, Craig. They have got to pressure Brad Johnson. No 2 ways about it. John Lynch, you got to be a DB, not a linebacker. The Bucs cornerbacks got to cover those big wide receivers of the Skins. Hey, Allstott, don't fumble. And you got to go Stone Age if you're Tampa. That means run the ball, pound it at him, and play physical defense.
Well, I notice all 3 are talking about Sean King. Sean King's favorite pass is a screen. Anybody can throw the screen against zone defense. Redskins all zone. Tampa wins with the screen pass.
Ooh, I know we like Washington down at this end. All right, gentlemen, here's what else is coming up on the show today.
Still ahead on the NFL Today. We'll preview tomorrow's Titans-Colts showdown, a showcase for some of the NFL's brightest new stars. Plus, we'll take a look at the Dolphins' D. Can it come up big against the Jaguars? The NFL Today is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. IBM, are you ready for e-business? And by Subway, the way a sandwich should be.
Jacksonville, there he is, Miami quarterback Dan Marino warming up for what could be the last game of his Hall of Fame career. But let's face it, we've been saying that for the past 2 weeks. And last Sunday, he flashed so much of the old power and timing and magic of the Marino of old. Will it happen again today? We welcome you back to the NFL Today. Now tomorrow at 4 Eastern, Tennessee, fresh off its miracle finish victory over Buffalo, visits Indianapolis. And our man Armin Katayan is standing by with more on tomorrow's marquee matchup in Indianapolis. Hello there, Armin.
Thanks, Jim. You know, the stage is set here in the RCA Dome for Act 2 of the NFL playoffs, and I can't think of a more fitting image because this game is going to feature 6 of the best young stars in the game. Peyton Manning, Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison for the Colts, Eddie George, Steve McNair, and Javon Kearse for the Titans. It could boil down to big plays by big-time players, and that means Manning and Kearse.
Hey, listen up, man. We set a standard last week. Let's even land today. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, here we go. Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
What it's going to take for us to play not a careless game. We can't afford to have turnovers. Can't afford to have the ball on the ground. Can't put their offense in position to score with a short field.
Somebody asked me a little earlier if there's ever a good time to be playing the Colts, and I said last year was a good time to play the Colts, not this year. They're playing very well. It's a very well-coached team. Jim's done a great job with this club. Offensively, they're the real deal. The least sacked team in the National Football League with 14, and that's a credit to everybody, to Peyton, to the tight ends, the receivers, the offensive line. They're making good decisions.
We're going to have to do some things to compensate for Javon's ability. There's no doubt he's got a lot of speed. He uses his hands very well, and he's got very long arms. So we feel like we're going to have to get on him, and at times we're going to have to chip him and put a couple guys on him.
Steve McNair, obviously, this Titan team comes in on a huge roll, winners of 5 in a row. Steve McNair told us yesterday, look for a much more wide-open attack, especially early on. Then give the ball to Eddie George, who told us he's recovered from his injuries. On the other side of the ball, Ellis Johnson, defensive tackle for the Colts, says, #1 priority, stop Eddie George on the run. To do that, they're going to have to do better than they have in the last 3 weeks, averaging 140 yards a game on defense on the ground. Peyton Manning told us the last regular season game against Buffalo, that 31-6 pasting, may have been the best thing ever that happened to us. We're not as good as we thought we were, he said. Jim Morris said, we lost a little bit of our edge down the stretch. He found it. We found it, he said, this week in practice. Jim?
All right, Armin, look forward to seeing you and Greg and Phil tomorrow there in Indianapolis. Let's talk about that Colts defense without Cornelius Bennett. What does that mean, Randy?
Well, for Tennessee, it means they can run the ball. They ran the ball effectively last week against the Buffalo Bills and their front 7. For Indianapolis, without Cornelius Bennett, what it means is the front 7 won't be enough. They'll pound the ball at that defense. The safeties will have to come up, and that means passes down the field by McNair.
Boy, that is dangerous. I agree with you. But you're talking about the Colt that's not there. But the most important Colt is still there, Peyton Manning. And I coached with Tom Moore, the offensive coordinator. Peyton Manning is not reading coverages as he's dropping back. He's got a pre-snap read. Before that ball comes in his hand, Tom Moore has found a defensive back that changed the foot, change the movement. He knows whether it's zone or man before he has the ball.
Like Zach Thomas told me a few weeks ago before he played Peyton. He said everybody goes out and studies themselves before they go against Manning because he does know what you're doing on defense. I think this game's pretty simple in my mind. I think the Colts are going to have to score a lot of points because Tennessee's defense is going to be the challenge in the ballgame. Tennessee's offense will score a lot of points in this game. I don't know if the Colts can keep up with them.
All right, guys, next we're going to get back to the game we're leading up to. And it wasn't all Dan Marino in the drive last Sunday. Randy takes a look at Miami's secret weapon, and it's a win over Seattle. The Dolphin defense
is presented by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl.
Welcome back to the NFL Today. Dan Marino and his winning fourth-quarter touchdown drive was the obvious highlight against Seattle last Sunday, and the catch of the year by Tony Martin on 3rd and 17 was incredible. But Randy, let's not overlook that Dolphins defense stepping up, especially in the fourth quarter last week.
Right, exactly, Jim. But, look at it realistically. Things have changed in Miami. This is now a defensive football team with a very conservative offense. For a while at the end of the year, though, the formula was a little bit out of whack. But last week, the Dolphins' defensive heroics couldn't have come at a better time.
We started off 7-1, and we were 7-1 for a reason. We're a good football team, but we kind of lost our way for a while.
We hit that little slump, and maybe the season got a little long for us, got wore out. Maybe we started believing a little bit of our own hype.
The last part of the season, we kind of fell apart, but when we are playing well together and things, overall, I feel like, we feel like we're unstoppable.
But don't forget, Miami ended the regular season in a tailspin, losing 5 of their last 6. But the defense was reborn last Sunday, sacking John Kitna 6 times and giving up just 171 yards of total offense.
Does it get any better than that feel for a defensive team where there's no guesswork? I mean, it's literally a pack of wild dogs going after people.
Oh yeah, and then the defensive linemen can do their work. I think the one key that made us a great defense last week was stopping the run.
You can feel the momentum swing, and you know that everything's in our corner, and it's on us to stop them. And you know that you can just pin your ears back and go for the quarterback, and you know that they're going to just throw the ball.
The battle over Seattle was a reminder that, just like Jimmy Johnson says, Miami's defense can control a contest.
Is the description of the way you win football games as simple as exciting and boring? When you say, I want to keep it close to the fourth quarter and want to win it, would be on the boring side. And I want wide open offense, and I want it 35-25 or 35-34, that being exciting. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, I think with all the games that we've won this year have been pretty boring. And from 12 to 9 and things like that. And it's not what fans want to see. They want to see a bunch of scoring. But the games we have lost, people have called me, that's an exciting game to watch. I'm like, man, we lost.
Nobody's forgotten last year's 38-3 loss to Denver in the playoffs. But after last Sunday, the defense goes into today's game with the confidence of a winner.
It's not like a year ago when we went to Denver and we went out there hoping. You hope that John Elway had a bad day. You hope that Terrell Davis had a bad day. And if things went well for you, you'd have a shot. We feel like that if we go up there and play our style of football, that we can beat them.
What's the formula for that boring game plan? Miami wants the Jags to pound the ball at them because they know how strong they are in the middle, and they know how weak, really, Jacksonville is between the center and 2 guards. That's not the strength of that football team. That plays into Miami's hands.
Miami's hands right now are in Dan Marino's hands. I mean, this is a football team. You talk about timing is everything when you enter the playoffs. I think Dan Marino is really coming on right now. His pocket presence last weekend was strong again. He was unaware of the pass rush. I feel like Dan Marino's quickness and his delivery is coming around. But Coach, the key is they got to find a way to protect the man. How are you going to do that over there?
Well, you talked about pass rush, and you're so right, because Jacksonville calls the thing blitz the formation. And if Miami shows a slot formation on either side, that makes an all-out blitz for the nickel back in the swing corner, and there's no way to protect if there's a slot formation. So Miami's got to do is run 2 tight ends with 2 backs and 1 wide receiver. No blitzing from Jacksonville, and Jimmy Johnson loves that. You can pound the football. If you want to do both, 2 tight ends, 2 wideouts, 1 back, and what the tight end will do, he'll rock back and pick up a blitzer. No blitzer, he gets in the pattern. That's the only way they can protect Marino today, guys. That's it. How about that time? Where's the national anthem? Come on.
Boy, that's easy. And you did that live, right?
Yeah, that was
Unlike
live.
the Chalk Talk. Hey, we're coming up on kickoff down in Jacksonville, and the Jaguar running back Fred Taylor is getting set to face the Dolphins.
That's not nice.
There he is. Sorry about that. Jacksonville led the league in rushing thanks to the combined efforts of Taylor and James Stewart.
And now we go to Jacksonville. Now, I said last week, I said, just give me 1 week. What did I say? I said, give me 1 week. I said, no. I said I wouldn't ask for another one.
Jimmy Johnson celebrating with Wayne Heisinger. Like you said, always good to
always hug the boss.
Always
when the boss is in there, get him involved.
Hey, one more pick. You were the regular season champion. Let's pick it here.
I can't go with Jimmy Johnson. He's a great evangelist, I think, but I got to go with Jacksonville. That defense will get turnovers.
Fred Taylor, James Stewart, they're on the same team. That's Jacksonville. Jacksonville wins.
J.J. Johnson on first down, you got to get 3 or 4 yards. I'm going Miami. How about them Dolphins?
Welcome to the bandwagon, Miami. I'm still with them. Coming up, it's game time as the Dolphins take on the Jags. The winner advances to the AFC Championship game. We'll see on the NASDAQ halftime report, and the Rams Pro Bowl receiver Isaac Bruce will join us as they prepare for the Vikings. Enjoy the game right here on CBS.
Welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
It's the game
that you dream about playing. A game where every play has a meaningful consequence. For Jimmy Johnson's Miami Dolphins, this season has been a struggle, but last weekend's wild card victory has restored respect in Miami. Yet a question lingers. Could this be Dan Marino's last game for the Dolphins? Tom Coughlin's Jacksonville Jaguars have had a terrific season. An NFL best 14 wins has made the Jaguars the team to beat in the postseason. It's Miami and Jacksonville, and a trip to the AFC title game awaits. It's next. Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida, just a few miles to the east of Interstate 95. That is one route to this site. Any means of conveyance will do, as long as you can be one of the 73,000 who has a ducat to this stadium for today's playoff game. A full house on hand at Alltel Stadium as the AFC Divisional playoffs get underway. The Jacksonville Jaguars at home today to the downstate rivals, the Miami Dolphins. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist. We welcome you to Jacksonville. Interstate 95 anchors either end as it runs through the state of Florida, but these two teams have taken different routes to get here. The Jaguars roared through the AFC Central 14-2 in what some consider a very soft schedule, but they have home side advantage. The Miami Dolphins had to have help. Kansas City and Seattle both losing the last week of regular season. They backed in, but they then went to Seattle and won last week. I'm joined by Dan Deerdorf. Dan, we spent time with Jimmy Johnson last night, as energetic and I think optimistic as he has been all year.
Well, he's really happy, Vern, because last week his team did exactly what he told them to do. Jimmy is a real believer that you can't win the game in the first half, but you can lose it. He wanted a conservative approach. The guy who executed that approach was his quarterback, Dan Marino. A very unspectacular first half, spectacular in the second half, and if you'll notice, no interceptions. Now, that's because Jimmy knows the strength of this team is his defensive unit, led by this guy, all-pro middle linebacker, Zach Thomas, the heart and soul of the Dolphins team.
Jacksonville offense without Tony Boselli at left tackle today, and Mark Brunell will be handicapped somewhat.
He tore a ligament in his knee, Vern, the next to last week of the season. He's always worn a brace on his right knee. Now he has a brace on his left as well. The question mark today, is he mobile enough to protect himself? The guy we know is mobile, as healthy as he's been all year, is Fred Taylor, the real legitimate breakaway threat on either team here today. Every time he touches it, he's a candidate to go the distance.
Two cities only 367 miles apart, but this only the second time they've ever played. At 14-2, Miami 9-7 regular season. Let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
All right, Vern, thank you. Miami last week upset third seed Seattle. You're facing the #1 team today in the AFC. Jimmy, give me a primary objective, one on offense, one on defense to beat the Jaguars.
Well, the biggest thing, too, we've got to prevent the big play. They've got some big play capability with their wide receiver, Jimmy Smith and McCardle, and then Fred Taylor. We've got to keep the big plays to a minimum.
Jimmy, thanks. Vern?
All right, Bonnie, thank you. It is a relatively cold day. It was in the 80s a couple of days ago, front roar through here, and I think the wind might prove significant. Out of the northeast at 14 miles per hour.
Vern, you sound like a Floridian to say cold. 57 in January, where I come from, is pretty doggone nice.
Miami 19-16, of course, 2 Super Bowl championships. Jacksonville playing its 7th postseason game since the franchise was established in 1995. Tom Coughlin has been the head coach here since that day. Actually, a year prior to that. Spent an entire year game planning, pretending like they were playing. Jaguars have won the toss. And they've got Reggie Barlow and Alvis Whitted deep. Here is the kick from Murray, and we are underway. It's Alvis Whitted, number 86. Stumbles as he gets to the 25. And the Jaguars will put it in play, first down and 10 from that spot. Against Tennessee, Mark Brunell suffered what he called a grade 2 sprained medial collateral ligament. A 3 to 5 week injury, but he's back. He sat out 2 weeks ago in the final game against Cincinnati and told us Thursday after practice that was as good as he had felt.
And he needed to feel that well, Vern. Tom Coughlin very upfront in saying if this game would have been played Wednesday, Mark Brunell would have been sitting watching Jay Fiedler.
There's McCardell in motion on 1st down and 10. And Brunell will throw. Good protection deep, right side, incomplete. Intended for McCardell up near the 48-yard line. Let's check the offense now for the Jaguars. Coleman at left tackle in place of the injured Tony Boselli. Tilsky, Wade, Wiegert, and Searcy going to the Pro Bowl. Fred Taylor, Damon Shelton in the backfield. Jimmy Smith, 116 catches this year. McCardell, and the tight end is Kyle Brady. And there again is Tom Coughlin, 5th season as the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now Jimmy Smith in motion across Brunell. Taylor cuts back to the left, switches hands, and moves into the secondary out to the 37-yard line. Robert Jones with the tackle, number 52. The Miami Dolphin defense, the strength of it in the middle. Bowens and Gardner, speed on the outside. Zach Thomas, the leading tackler. He's going to the Pro Bowl. Rogers and Jones complement him. And in the secondary, Patrick Surtain, Marion, Sean Wooden, and the Pro Bowler Sam Madison. 1st down and 10 on the Taylor run. Jimmy Johnson in his 4th season as the head coach in Miami. 3 wide receiver set. Smith comes wide left. And press coverage by the Dolphins. Here's Brunell. Quick setup. Slant pattern. Jimmy Smith. He's got opening room to the 40. Down to the 25 and somersaulted at the 23-yard line. Patrick Surtain, a 41-yard gain.
These two teams met in the regular season last year on Monday Night Football, and the game started off with a 77-yard run by Fred Taylor. And Jimmy Johnson worried about the big play. Look at the release by Jimmy Smith as he then clears the rest of the Dolphins secondary. And wow, talk about deja vu for the Dolphins, already backed up to their goal line.
Double tight end set and the handoff. It's Taylor coming left and driven down at the 21-yard line by Zach Thomas, number 54. Zach Thomas heading to the Pro Bowl in February.
And needless to say, the Dolphins' leading tackler, as a matter of fact, almost 70% more tackles than anybody else on the team. Do not judge a book by its cover when you look at Zach Thomas and gauge him to be a middle linebacker.
2nd down and 9. Play fake. Brunell coming to the near side and overthrowing his tight end. Kyle Brady, the intended receiver. And that'll bring up 3rd and long.
There's a pretty decent breeze today here in Jacksonville, and the Jaguars are going right into it. It's pretty much coming right down the field from left to right. So when Miami lost the coin toss, they decided to go ahead and put the wind at their backs for the first quarter. And I think you might see some erratic passing going into the wind today. It's that strong.
Smith and McCardell both break off to the right side. Albus Whithead is bottom of the screen to the left. 3rd and 9 out of the shotgun. Here's Brunell. Not much pressure. Pulls up, fires it, caught at the 11-yard line. That's good for a 1st down to McCardell. Brock Marion with the tackle, but too late.
Oh, and Jimmy Johnson won't be happy about that, because where are Bowens and Gardner that Mark Brunell is allowed to come up into the pocket? He stepped straight upfield to buy himself the extra time to get the ball to McCardell. The Miami pass rush went all upfield. Take a look at this. One of those two has got to stay in the middle and keep Brunell from being able to do that. But you see, they were routed off to the side. That is a kind of a pass rushing error that'll make Jimmy Johnson nuts.
On 1st down, the handoff to Taylor. Skips left, hit at the line of scrimmage, and tackled for no gain. Jason Taylor, number 99, who today goes up against Ben Coleman. That is the spot occupied with such prominence by Tony Boselli. And Tony Boselli undergoing ACL surgery reconstruction in Birmingham a couple of days ago.
And he is still in Birmingham watching the game on television today. And Ben Coleman Talk about impossible shoes to fill. Ben primarily a guard in his career, but he does have good feet and good pass protection skills, and he has filled in for Baselli before at left tackle, so he's not a novice.
Double tight end set. They'll keep it on the ground, and Taylor gets a couple of hard-earned yards down to the 8-yard line. Zach Thomas and Brock Marion there.
Well, Tom Coughlin, the head coach of this team, but because his offensive coordinator last year, Chris Palmer, is now the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. This year he took on the added responsibilities of calling plays. And Vern, a whole lot written and said about conflict between Tom Coughlin and his quarterback, Mark Brunell. Both of them say it was overplayed. The fact of the matter is he's the head coach. He can call the plays if he wants to.
Out of the shotgun, 4 wide receivers set. This is the empty backfield. Brunell with time again, drills it deep, caught, touchdown, Jimmy Smith.
Well, the Jaguars flood the right side. Jimmy Smith working from the slot. Just a simple break to the inside, and again, not much pass rush by Miami. Mark Brunell had a lot of time to find a breaking Jimmy Smith.
Mike Hollis for the extra point. Smith for 41 to set up the touchdown. Jimmy Smith for 8 to complete the drive. 116 in the regular season, 2 already here.
Eyes of a puppy.
Jaguars strike in the opening drive. 9 plays, 73 yards, and just short of 4.5 minutes. Jimmy Smith joined this team after a year out of football in 1995 and has become a sensational part of the success of this franchise. Brock Marion is deep. Jerry Wilson back with him. And Steve Lindsay, the kickoff specialist, will put the toe into this one for the Jaguars. Into the wind. It'll be taken by Marion at the 3. Goes left, has a little bit of room, and is out of bounds at the 35-yard line. So Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins find themselves trailing by touchdown. They'll have the ball when we return.
CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Jeep, makers of Grand Cherokee, Cherokee, and Wrangler. And by Blue from American Express.
Let's go back and take a look at the touchdown pass. 5 receivers here for the Jaguars. Here's Jimmy Smith in the slot. He's going to lock up with Marion, and it becomes man coverage down in the end zone. If you watch Smith, though, in the end zone, watch this little push-off right there. He really gets away with separating himself from Brock Marion. Fabulous protection in the pocket. Mark Brunell allowed to step up, but Jimmy Smith got away with a pretty good shove on Brock Marion.
Dan Marino opens with 3 wide receivers on first down, and he will throw. Mild play action, goes left, intercepted by Aaron Beasley. Picked off by Beasley, and the problems persist for Dan Marino. How about that? Beasley led this Jacksonville team with 6 interceptions this year. Marino was picked off 17 times, including 5 against Dallas. And look how this one opens up.
And Beasley, knowing that he had safety help behind him, dropped off his receiver even before Dan Marino threw the football. Beasley has already dropped off and is just sitting there waiting for that pass from Dan Marino. And I can't begin to even fathom what Dan must have been thinking about. It's stunning. Tony Martin was the intended receiver, but Beasley, reading it, knowing he had deep safety help, just sat there and waited for that pass.
First down and 10 after the intercepted pass. Smith starts in motion. Brunell, again, an absence of pressure. He will scramble. Here's a test of his mobility, and he slides down at the 35-yard line in front of Zach Thomas.
Now, Mark said it's going to take something really important to get me out of the pocket and running the football. Yeah, I guess he had no choice here. Again, the middle opens wide up for Mark Brunell as both, you know, as we're taking a look at both Bowens and Gardner getting routed again out of the middle.
You know, a lot of people thought there was a mismatch here with Tilsky, Wade, and Wiegert, the middle of Jacksonville. So far, not the case.
Second down and 4. Hand off Taylor. Cutback play again. First down at the 30-yard line for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Zach Thomas, Derek Rogers make the stop, but too late. First down. I think everybody is stunned by that interception.
I guarantee you Jimmy Johnson is stunned. You'd love to give credit to Jacksonville for making some highlight film play, but in reality, that it's just mind-boggling that Dan just threw that thing away in the flat like that right to Beasley.
On 1st and 10 from the 30, they go out of the shotgun, and the handoff goes to Taylor. Well, let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
All right, Vern, it seems no one may have benefited more from the Jaguars' first week bye than Mark Brunell. We mentioned that he's wearing 2 braces. This one's going to be on the left leg for that MCL sprain. The other one he's been wearing since '97 from an injury he suffered on his right knee. Brunell told me before the game he feels 95%. He said, I might not have that quickness, but we don't want to change the game plan up. So we'll see those sprint outs and those naked bootlegs. And so far we're seeing exactly that, Vern.
All right, Bonnie, that just sounds awkward, Dan.
I played with both braces, but I certainly wasn't a quarterback.
Here's Smith, 3rd catch. Out of bounds just short of the yardage needed for the first down at the 20. Sam Madison defending.
Those of us that have enjoyed watching Mark Brunell over the years, we know that improvisation is such a big part of his game. Just wonderful mobility. He's not a pure pocket passer. Boy, that is just a veteran wide receiver getting off the football. You see Jimmy Smith, a push and a shove from a corner is not enough to slow him down. He does a nice job routing Sam Madison off of the ball. It's just a quality release.
James Stewart in the lineup, and he comes over left tackle. That would be Ben Coleman's spot today, and that appears to be enough to give Jacksonville a fresh set of downs. Sean Wooden with the tackle, number 22.
No gain, 3rd down.
Nope, short of it.
Well, they're going to bring the chains in. They're going to go ahead and measure this anyway. When they first placed the ball, it appeared that it was on the 20-yard line. Still good enough. That's not a first down?
Yes, it is.
Ed Hockley, our referee today, took his good old time. I wanted to see him call it 3rd down.
If you're a running back, you say, feet don't fail me now. If you're an announcer, you're hoping eyes don't fail me now. 1st and 10. Fred Taylor back after Stewart's 1 carry. And Dan Marino prowls the sidelines, anxious for redemption, to get a chance to get back out there, and hoping that his defense can negate this thrust by Taylor in the offense of Jacksonville. There's no gain to the 20-yard line. Which Super Bowl team was the greatest of all time? 78 Steelers, 89 49ers, 85 Bears, or the 75 Steelers? Vote now at superbowl.com. I can hear people clamoring in South Florida. Did you not mention 72 Miami Dolphins?
And being led by Don Shula.
Yes. 2nd down and 10.
We had nothing to do with it.
That's right. We are not the authors. 2nd and 10, 7-0 Jaguars. Out of the spread again. And the absence there. Now the pressure comes and they got to it. Tim Bowens. First sack of Mark Brunell. This is a defense that got to John Kitna in Seattle 6 times last week.
Well, a lot of pass rushing is honoring your lanes and staying at home. And that's what happened. Mark Brunell was going to try to step up. But number 95, Tim Bowens, after a line stunt, stays in the middle. Boy, and look at that penetration. He just goes right over the top of Zach Wiegert. Again, huge defensive tackles, both at 315, Gardner and Bowens. They have got to be dominant today to give Miami a chance of winning.
3rd and 17. McCardell comes to the near side. Blitz is coming. Brunell deep man coverage in the corner, and it's incomplete for Jimmy Smith. Terrell Buckley, who lost his spot as a starting cornerback midway through the season. Jimmy Johnson saying last night, you know when he's out there because he's the guy with the bullseye on his back, and they went right at him.
T-Buck is the man. Quarterback breaks the huddle and says, where is 27? I'm going to give it a shot his direction. You can't fault Terrell Buckley there. That was good, solid coverage on Smith. And Mark Brunell, knowing that he's already got the lead and trying to make it 10, isn't foolish with his throw.
As you can see, Mike Hollis has missed only one in postseason in his career. 14 of 15. This one from just outside the 35, so a 45-yard effort is good. A 73-yard drive, 7-0, an interception, and a field goal, 10-7.
You hear announcers all the time talk about, oh, it'd be good for another 5 yards. Look at the football here drop in, this 45-yarder from Mike Hollis. That was good by about 2 feet. Right into the wind. He really powered it through there.
Steve Lindsay, Brock Marion comes up and grabs it on the run at the 10-yard line and is met and driven down at the 26-yard line by Chris Howard, number 24. Well, Dan Marino and the offense have run one play thus far.
CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And by Merrill Lynch, be bullish.
Dolphins' second offensive play, down 10-0. And Marino will hand it off to J.J. Johnson on first down. Over right guard out to the 31-yard line and into the arms of Pro Bowler Carnell Lake. Well, 6 minutes to go in the first quarter, and we're going to finally introduce you to the Miami offense. With Dan Marino at quarterback, 12 touchdowns and 17 interceptions in regular season play. Struggled with the cervical nerve injury. He was worried at one point about his ability to ever return. On second down, the handoff goes to Johnson for a couple of yards out to the 33-yard line. Offensively for Miami, they'll have Webb, Dixon, Ruddy, Donnelly, and James Brown on the offensive line. J.J. Johnson had a very productive day last week in Seattle. Pritchett, the wideouts Martin and Gadsden. O.J. McDuffie will also play, and the tight end in place of the injured Troy Drayton is Hunter Goodwin. Drayton is active, but hampered, and we don't expect to see much of him today. 3rd and 3. Marino will pass for the second time. Lofts it out in the vicinity of Aaron Beasley, left side. Defensively for Jacksonville, say hello to them and then say goodbye as we get ready to punt. Wynn, Walker, Payne, and Brackens. Paup, Martz, and Hardy, the linebackers. And you've met Aaron Beasley, Fernando Bryant, the rookie, Carnell Lake, and Donovan Darius complete the secondary. Tommy Hutton is on to punt on 4th down. Reggie Barlow awaits it. And this is a fine punt riding the wind. And it will stop. Hutton had a marvelous day last week in Seattle in the Dome, providing field position for the Dolphins. And he certainly fulfills his task here. 57-yard punt. Nothing on the return. Down inside the 10. Sunday on CBS, don't miss the special premiere of an extraordinary new drama about the power of courage and the rewards of sacrifice. Blair Underwood and Vivica Fox star in City of Angels special premiere. Sunday at 8, 7 Central on CBS. And overhead, the Blood One airship flying over Jacksonville today to provide all of us with these spectacular aerial shots. After the 57-yard Tommy Hutton punt, 3rd possession now for the Jaguars, and they are pinned inside their own 10 with the first down at the 9-yard line.
Vern, this will be Jacksonville's 18th offensive play. Miami has run a total of 4.
Brunell, quick penetration on Taylor, and he picks up 1 yard as Sam Madison came from the corner and got into the backfield quickly. Jimmy Smith opened this thing up with a 41-yard catch.
Well, you saw that wonderful release from the line of scrimmage. And again, Jimmy Johnson, since he knew he had to come here and play Jacksonville, he knew it's going to be a game of big plays, either denying them or watching them happen to him. But he knows he doesn't have a big play team, and Jacksonville does.
Draw play. Taylor skips 2 tackles. And here we go.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Brock Marion chasing. Brock Marion still chasing. Gets help from Smith. Touchdown. No flags. A 90-yard run.
Could have sworn we were just talking about big plays. One team has them and one team doesn't.
He broke Thomas's tackle almost at the line of scrimmage. He slipped another and got behind Marion. And he's just completed the longest run in the history, albeit the short history, of the Jacksonville Jaguar franchise. Hollis with the extra point.
We talked from the very beginning about Fred Taylor being a difference maker, his ability to make people miss. Well, there's miss number 1, Calvin Jackson. Miss number 2 right there by Surtain. Zach Thomas was in the mix there. You see people all over the place. And then it's just speed. And Brock Marion, not a slow guy. You can see that on how effective he is with kickoff returns. And I would say, Vern, that the hamstring of Fred Taylor is just fine. Keep in mind, Fred missed 6 games this year. And right there, I think we're looking at a good reason why he was their #1 draft choice last year.
Well, I mentioned Zach Thomas had missed a tackle. Like it's clear on replay that Thomas got knocked away from contact by Calvin Jackson's missed tackle.
Yeah, Calvin Jackson, the first one in there. But this is just running skill by Fred Taylor. And right now, Jimmy, I know we got to try to be upbeat. We got to wrap up. But this, given the problems Miami has had offensively, we got to wonder how big a hole this really is.
Here's the kick. And it's taken by Wilson at the 7-yard line. And he is knocked down as he gets to the 26-yard line. Well, if you're Miami, I guess the finest reminder you can have is Kansas City 17, Oakland nothing in the last weekend of the regular season. Oakland came back to win that, and that helped get Miami into the playoffs. But what a shocker.
Well, it's flying in the face of everything Jimmy Johnson knows is good for his team. Even if we're not spectacular, we got to hang in there. We got to be close. We've got to be in a position to try to win the game in the 4th quarter. Now, staying close is out of the question without taking some chances. And every time the Dolphins have taken many chances this year, it's blown up in their face.
Look at the disparity in yardage. 171-yard difference. Marino hit from the backside. Fumble the ball.
Oh, Lord, Jacksonville has it. And this ball is live. This is still live.
Tony Brackens.
They haven't blown a whistle yet.
No. And finally, he rumbles toward the end zone.
That's a touchdown. Oh, jeez. Vern, did we not do a Miami game earlier in the year where there was a live ball on the field and they all stood around and looked at it? And that is exactly the case here. Nobody blew a whistle after the fumble by Dan Marino.
Tony Brackens, here's Ed Hockley.
The call is recovered by Jacksonville, and the player was not touched down by contact. Therefore, the result of the play was a touchdown.
What Ed Hockley was saying right there was that after the fumble, nobody from Jacksonville was down by contact. Jimmy, of course, incredulous that that's the case.
Hollis for the extra point.
All right, it starts with a great play by Tony Brackens. He knows he's too far upfield to sack Dan Marino, so he's going to take a swipe at the football. And that's where it all starts. Coming from your right, we're going to see Tony Brackens. There it is. He knew he couldn't sack Dan, but he went for the tomahawk to knock out the ball. Big time play here by Tony Brackens. And then the ball is alive. All Jacksonville down by contact there. No Miami. And Tony Brackens has to be cajoled. Now right there, he was already. Now did that? I can't see his feet right there. There was a Miami touch.
But I think, Dan, he was upright, so he was not down by contact.
We couldn't see his knee or his feet on that touch. We're going to have to look for another angle there. There was a Miami touch. The question would, Tony Brackens would have had to have had a knee on the ground when that touch occurred. This is tackle football. Not flag football, not touch football.
Mercy, which is what Miami is in need of. Marion at the 5. The torture has been unending for the Dolphins. Marion to the 26-yard line. Flags are down.
Yeah, late flags flying in here. Well, how's that for making matters worse for Miami?
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness by the kicking team, number 54. 15-yard penalty. It's first down.
Well, they're calling Zach Thomas for a personal foul. All right, there's Brackens. There's the knockdown. All right, now Tony picks up the ball. Right there. Is that James Brown standing there who had a chance? He's just walking away from the play. Now right there is just a touch in the back, but Tony Brackens is standing up. What is that? You don't just touch a guy when he's standing there.
Well, and Brackens in the midst of the celebration had to be urged into the end zone by his teammates.
But what a lapse of concentration by Miami, Vern. Talk about going to sleep.
Joel Smengi, number 99, and Carnell Lake, number 37. Now think about this. A 41-yard pass to set up the first touchdown. Then Marino intercepted on his first play. A 90-yard run following the punt. And then Brackens strips Marino of the ball and runs it in for the touchdown. Second down, 11.
Tony Brackens initially didn't realize what he was doing, Vern, that the play was still alive. Luckily, a lot of his teammates, Bryce Pop and others, realized what was going on and got him up and got him moving. That is, from a defensive lineman's perspective, as good as it possibly can get. You cause the fumble, you get the sack, and you pick it up, and you end up in the end zone with it.
And you're nurtured en route.
Well, that's a good look at why Tony Brackens is going to his first Pro Bowl this year.
Pride of Fairfield, Texas, from the University of. And Marino out of the shotgun on 3rd and 8. Here comes the blitz. Marino moves to his left, pulls up, fires it incomplete. Beasley covering Aronde Gadsden.
And Gadsden has got to do something to try to get open. He's just standing there with Beasley in front of him. Dan Marino has absolutely nowhere to go with this football. And limited mobility and all, buys some extra time, but he has no option but to throw that thing over into his own bench.
On 4th down, here's Hutton. Barlow awaits it. Line drive punt taken at the 39 by Barlow. And he is down. An arm tackle made by Dwight Hollier at the 47-yard line.
Looked, Vern, like that ball popped right out of Barlow's hands and came right back to him.
First down, Jacksonville.
Well, our coverage of the AFC Divisional Playoffs continues tomorrow from Indianapolis. Eddie George and the Titans against Peyton Manning. You know them well by now. Terrence Wilkins, Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James. Heck of a matchup tomorrow, 4 o'clock. The Titans at Indianapolis, and it begins with the NFL Today at 3:30 Eastern Time.
Well, it's stunned, shocked. We're going to run out of adjectives to describe what has to be going through the minds of the Miami players.
Another missed tackle. Taylor to the 45, the 35. That's a gain of 18.
Well, Fred Taylor is the whole package. Once again, Calvin Jackson left in the dust of Fred Taylor. And by the time anybody from Miami catches up, that time Derek Rogers, it's first down yardage. And right now, Miami somehow defensively, in the face of this huge deficit, they just can't quit. They can't stop. Zach Thomas somehow has to rally his troops.
Here's James Stewart, and he gets a couple inside the 35 to the 33. Mark Brunell telling us that James Stewart, in his mind, was the most valuable player of this team this year.
And it's and last year as well, with the way he filled in for Fred Taylor. But Vern, you and I have been around the National Football League for a while. It's been a while since I've seen an explosion of this magnitude in the first quarter of a football game, especially a playoff football game.
Oh, you've got 2 weeks worth of big plays already in the first quarter by Jacksonville. Second down and 9. Shelton, draw play, no, play fake, Brunell. Plenty of time, goes deep in the corner, right side, and it is tipped away at the end zone, intended for McCardell. And Sam Madison was back there.
Well, Sam Madison had an interception. And Keenan McCardell turns into defensive back here, and it's a good thing he got over there and got some contact on Sam Madison, because Madison was going to come up with his 8th interception of the season. When that ball was about 10 yards away from Madison, McCardell was well to the inside, and he really hustled to get over there and make that play.
3rd and 9. Out of the shotgun again for Jacksonville, and the play clock winds down, so Brunell burns one of the allotment of 3 timeouts.
That's about the worst thing that's happened to Jacksonville this quarter.
Which gives you some sense of the way the tide is rolling right now.
Geez, how will they overcome?
Well, when this game is in the books officially, we'll have NCAA basketball for you on CBS. UCLA travels into Chapel Hill, and they'll take on the 14th ranked Tar Heels of North Carolina. That's next as our coverage of CBS basketball continues this afternoon. 24-0. If you just walked in from Saturday errands, you're probably shocked by this. We've had a 90-yard run, a Marino interception on his first play, a Marino fumble return for a touchdown by Tony Brackens. That, by the way, is the 12th return for a touchdown this season by opponents of the Dolphins.
Well, something to chew on, Vern, during the intermission between the first and the second quarters is how much do you think Jimmy Johnson is thinking about giving Damon Heward a shot at quarterback for Miami?
On 3rd and 9, Brunell back across the middle. Caught. Flag is down. This one might come back. Jimmy Smith hopes not.
There's a flag down at the 34-yard line. And back it comes on the procedure call.
Illegal formation, offense. Number 86 was off the line of scrimmage. There were 6 men on the line. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down. And that is the end of the first quarter.
And some first quarter it has been, particularly from a Jacksonville perspective. No misprint. It's 24-0 Jaguars. We've reached the end of one. Jacksonville, where the Jaguars have rolled to a 24. Well, they've rolled and juked and dived and jumped, and they are up 24-0 with Dan Deerdorf and Bonnie Bernstein, Vern Lundquist, Dan Marino. An absolutely horrid start. Intercepted on his first pass by Aaron Beasley, and then Damon Heward still got the jacket on. A fumble return as Tony Brackens sacked Marino, fumbled, caused the fumble, picked it up and ran it in. Screen pass. Look at this. Nobody within 15 yards. Another missed tackle. Another missed tackle. It's become a mantra. That is a touchdown.
What a tremendous play by Fred Taylor. What an embarrassment for the Miami Dolphins. Equal measures of both.
This is as shoddy a tackling effort as I have seen in more than a decade.
Well, Patrick Surtain, the first to miss, then Sam Madison gets his effort at it. Surtain misses again. Now, the reason nobody's near Fred Taylor initially, Miami plays so much man coverage that the wide receivers, Smith and McCardell, just take their corners downfield.
Mike Hollis with the extra point. 12 seconds have been played in the second quarter. Fred Taylor with 2 touchdowns, a 39-yard pass reception earlier in the afternoon. The longest run in NFL playoff history from scrimmage, 90 yards for a touchdown.
Followed it up with a run that might have included the most missed tackles in NFL history.
And the point total posted by the Jaguars, second most in the first quarter in postseason history. This one taken by Brock Marion at the 8-yard line. And he's cut down as he gets near the 28-yard line. Well, if you want a play to symbolize the tempo of this game and the tenor of this game, look at the last touchdown reception.
Well, first of all, the blitz up front. They sell out. You can see right there that Brock Marion came on the blitz. Jerry Wilson came on the blitz. All right, the first guy, that's Sean Wooden. He's the first guy to miss. And then right there you see that Sam Madison missed. And Surtain. Everybody wants to get in on the action, and a brilliant piece of work by Fred Taylor. We don't want to concentrate solely on the missed tackles. Fred made them miss, but this is a Miami team. They're better than this, Vern. Having played last week in Seattle, 3,000 miles away, playing on a short week, playing Sunday, late Sunday afternoon, and now having to play the early game Saturday, you've got to assume it's taken a heck of a toll on the Dolphins. They're not this bad.
Yeah, the 3,000-mile trip to Seattle, and this one 367 miles.
And you wonder if their defensive football team isn't showing some of the wear and tear of having to carry this offense all season long.
Look at that. My gracious.
Miami just needs a first down.
Here's Marino.
Let's start with the basics.
Well, it's not going to be on this play. Gary Walker, who was in double digits for sacks this year, gets one on Marino. He had 10 sacks. Acquisition from the Tennessee Titans.
What a huge free agent pickup for Jacksonville with Gary Walker. Defensive tackles just don't get double-digit sacks. You know, John Randall does it in Minnesota, but it just doesn't happen. What a find Gary Walker has been here for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
3rd and 11, Miami. Jaguars will blitz. Marino steps up, puts it at the feet of O.J. McDuffie. It'll be 4th down, and Dan was hit by Kevin Hardy about the time he let it go. Marino is 0 for 4.
And you look at Tom Coughlin and his free agent acquisitions, especially on defense, Vern. He gets Carnell Lake, which hurts the Steelers. He gets Gary Walker, which hurts Tennessee. You notice he's not only adding to his own team, but he's also wreaking a little havoc in the AFC Central at the same time.
Whoa, bobbles it, it's blocked.
All right.
And recovered at the 21-yard line. Corey Chamblin, number 23, as Hutton bobbled the snap, came through to block it.
It was a low snap, kind of wobbly. Look at it die. Doesn't have a lot on it, but it was in the air. But it was, you know, you see a first baseman sometime mishandle that soft little lob from the pitcher, and that was the case there. And Chamblin has all the time in the world to come in and block that thing. Ed Perry, the snapper, just tossed one back there that looked like that proverbial dying quail as it came into the hands of Hutton.
Chamblin with the block, and Jacksonville up already 31-0, has the ball at the 21. to the 18-yard line. Sean Wooden makes contact, and Tim Bowens helps. Friday on CBS, action, romance, and adventure. TV Guide says Now and Again puts it all together and adds up to one of the smartest shows on television. It is time for Now and Again, Friday on CBS. 2nd and 8 with 12:45 to go first half. Brunell caught and dropped back at the 26-yard line.
And looking at Mark Brunell right there, taking a shot to his knees. Tom Coughlin's got to be thinking about Jay Fiedler. When I see a hit like that on a guy that's out there with a bad knee to begin with, look at the blow Mark takes right here. His own lineman gets thrown back. That's Rich Tilsky that gets thrown back into Mark's knee. And that might be all I need to see if I'm Tom Coughlin, especially given the way Jay Fiedler played in their finale against the Bengals.
Jay Fiedler had a really terrific game in that last game of the season here as Brunell sat out with the bad knee in his 4th year from Dartmouth. Here's the handoff to James Stewart. Got room. He's going to stroll in and score. Flag in the end zone. I am thunderstruck.
They might flag Miami for playing so horribly on defense.
Jerry Wilson apparently is going to be called for the personal foul. Here's Hockley. Yep.
Yeah, that's really a smart play by Jerry Wilson. Putting James Stewart to the ground in the back of the end zone. Yeah, that's showing him. Five yards into the end zone, Jerry Wilson just gives James Stewart.
Unnecessary roughness, defense, number 24, after the touchdown. The touchdown counts. The penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
Vern, what else can happen? I'm beginning to think that we may get out the old record book. We're well on our way.
Here's Hollis's extra point. Well, there, a couple of minutes ago, I was thinking about Buffalo, Houston in 1993. That thought has been erased from my mind.
And I think we ought to get ready for Jay Fiedler.
After all, it's Fiedler time.
Is sponsored by the new 2000 Ford Taurus with the advanced personal safety system. IBM. Are you ready for e-business? And by American General Financial Group. Live the life you've imagined.
It's a relatively quiet Jacksonville crowd right now. They are stunned along with all of us, I think. 38-0. 6 scores on 6 possessions for the Jaguars.
A divided community. This was such a rabid Miami hotbed before Jacksonville was awarded the expansion team. Virtually everyone in this stadium was a Dolphins fan until their beloved Jaguars got here.
Steve Lindsay will kick off. And he's going to ride the wind, and this will be his 23rd touchback of the season. He had 22 in the regular season to lead the league. And how have things gone awry for Miami?
Let me count the way.
Yes.
Aaron Beasley starts it off with an interception of Dan Marino's first throw of the game. Tony Brackens follows that up by knocking the ball out of Dan Marino's hands. He runs it in for a touchdown. Corey Chamblin blocks a punt. That ends up in a touchdown.
Remember the Clint Eastwood movie, Every Which Way But Loose?
Jacksonville has a Calvin Jackson to go with their Jacksonville.
Brock Marion, we are told, is out with a hip pointer. Here's Marino still in there and sends this one over the head of J.J. Johnson. Now let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
Vern, interestingly enough, before the game, I happened to ask Jimmy Johnson, I said, if you fall behind early, how long are you going to stick with the run? And he said, and I'm quoting, he said, we got to stick with the run as long as we can, because if we have to pass the ball, we're going to turn the ball over and we're going to be done, unquote. And then I followed up, I said, well, would you even consider putting Damon Heward in? And he said, you wouldn't want to go into a game even thinking about it, but, and his voice trailed off, but I just checked, and Heward does still have his jacket on, Vern.
Well, in his worst nightmare, I don't think he ever envisioned having to change his plans down 38-0. Here's Marino, incomplete. Well, you've seen missed tackles, you've seen interceptions, you've seen fumbles, blocked punts. Now you see a drop ball. Marino 0 for 6.
And the guy that you would think you'd want him to go to, O.J. McDuffie, can't hold on to that ball.
You know, it's hard to think of descriptions that don't seem unkind, because this has been a disaster. If you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, it's been the best thing you've ever seen. But Miami has just done everything wrong. Out of the shotgun, blitz coming. Deep left side, intercepted by Beasley at the 40-yard line.
Trying to find Tony Martin. The ball too far to the inside, and you know, what choice does Dan Marino have but to try to make something happen? But this is catastrophic for the Miami Dolphins. Tony Martin wasn't even turned around really in a position to make a play. By the time he really gets all the way around, he doesn't have any chance to react back to the football. And Damon Heward and whatever plans you had, if Jacksonville comes out of this and moves into the 40s, I think Dan Marino's got to be done.
New quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars is the fourth-year man, Jay Fiedler. Hands it off, and Taylor is stopped behind the line of scrimmage at the 41 by Rich Owens, number 96. Jay Fiedler signed as a free agent last summer. He signed a one-year deal.
Yes, very key. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Fiedler will be a free agent after this season, whenever that ends for Jacksonville. Certainly not ending today. They have the home field advantage, so either Indianapolis or Tennessee will be here next week. And still working.
Yep.
You'd expect no less.
Second down and 12. Fiedler play fake. He is chased and dumps it at the feet of Damon Shelton. That will be an incomplete pass. Rich Owens providing the pressure.
He took advantage of being out of the tight end pocket and got the ball back close to the line of scrimmage, so no intentional grounding, even though Rich Owens is all over him and has a hold of it. At one of the quarterback's only luxuries once the referee deems you're out of the pocket. Rich Owens, one of the guys that's really had a wonderful year. And how much better could this have worked out for the Jaguars today to get Brunell out of this game healthy?
On 3rd and 12, here's Fiedler across the middle, incomplete. It'll be 4th down, and this is the first time that Jacksonville has not scored on a possession intended for McCardell.
I'm sure Coughlin will rip him over on the sidelines.
Aaron Beasley, 2 interceptions today, 6 in the regular season. Here's Brian Barker. O.J. McDuffie back to return it. Just about down by Whitted at the 2. It does go into the end zone. And the Miami Dolphins will have it first down at their own 20, trailing by 38. 48 to go, first half of play. Jacksonville up 38-0. And Dan Marino continues at quarterback on first down from the 20-yard line.
Well, even though Dan has 2 picks already in this game, Vern, there is blame aplenty to be spread around this entire Miami roster.
Still looking for his first completion of the day. 0 for 7. And the 2 interceptions. Here comes the defense. He goes right side. The pass is caught out in the right flat by Gadsden. Let's go down to Bonnie Bernstein.
Vern, you brought up a good point, how there's you got to spread the blame around. As a matter of fact, Marino came off the sideline absolutely livid, and he walked right over to his receivers. He said, you guys have to finish your routes, Vern.
All right, and he might go over the defensive guys and say, you guys have to make a tackle. It has been a completely dominant Jacksonville team. Every category one can think of.
Well, the journey of 100 yards begins with a first down, and it'd be nice if they could get one.
Left side. Gadsden again, hit by Donovan Darius. And they are looking at a third down.
And what they're looking at in Donovan Darius is one of the big hitters. Donovan was their #1 draft choice last year, and Tom Coughlin brought him in because he's a big striker. And right there you could see what kind of blow he delivers when he hits a big guy in Aronde Gadsden. Ended up being a helmet-to-helmet clash there. Sometimes it's unavoidable.
3rd and 5 out of the shotgun. 4-man front for the Jaguars. They will blitz. Across the middle, there's Brant Boyer defending, and he may have defended a little too aggressively.
And we may have a first down here, Vern.
O.J. McDuffie by penalty.
By Grant, but it's a first down. He'll take it.
That's an old Scandinavian proverb, isn't it? Every 100 yards begins with a first down. This one would be a first down for Miami. Yeah, here's Ed Hockley.
Pass interference, defense, number 52. The ball's placed at the spot of the foul, first down.
Let me give you a little context. The first Miami first down comes 20 minutes and 34 seconds into the game.
Boyer way early. And take a look at the shot that O.J. McDuffie takes. And I don't blame you. I'd be a little upset too. That's the kind of a blow Dick Butkus used to deliver to guys coming across the middle.
Play fake on first down and 10. Marino deep left side, and it's a little behind his intended receiver. Caught but out of bounds. Aronde Gadsden. So second down and 10. Tonight on CBS, it's Winning Lines, the exciting new game show from the creators of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Last week, a soccer mom won $500,000 in 3 minutes. See what happens tonight. It's Winning Lines tonight on CBS. 38 zip, second and 10. 38 zip. You got to keep repeating yourself.
I'm dreaming.
Marino, left side, incomplete. It was intended for Hunter Goodwin, the tight end, and Carnell Lake, number 37. Carnell Lake going back to the Pro Bowl for the 5th time in a new position. He's made it as a strong safety. He also played cornerback in those years in Pittsburgh. And here he goes again, Dan, back to Honolulu.
And what he's done for Jacksonville, Vern, is to really solidify a bunch of kids. There's a rookie starting at left corner in Fernando Bryant, a second-year guy at safety beside him in Donovan Darius. You've got Aaron Beasley, who's only a 4th-year guy at the other corner. And Carnell Lake has been such a solidifying influence, a role model influence for those kids.
On 3rd and 10, a one-hopper. It'll be 4th down. Intended for O.J. McDuffie. It's hard to imagine what is going through Dan Marino's mind right now.
Well, and of course, all the question marks surrounding his future with the Miami Dolphins, Jimmy Johnson's future with the Miami Dolphins, and boy, will there be a firestorm after this game is over down in South Florida.
Hutton's punt. Barlow lets it bounce, and it takes a sideways hop. Lynch to arrest at the 27-yard line. 44-yard punt, nothing on the return. Jacksonville by 38.
Is sponsored by NASDAQ, the stock market for a digital world, and by Original Coors. Expect more from an original.
And those scenes in the background of the World Golf Hall of Fame in St. Augustine, not too far down A1A. Jacksonville leading it here at Alltel Stadium, 38-0.
I'm not sure that I could pay my way into the World Golf Hall of Fame.
Look at Davis Love is around here. He might grant you an invitation.
I think Davis is here at the game today.
Yes, I believe that's true.
Producer Lance Barrow, CBS golf coordinating producer. He loves golf, hates us.
Only when it's 38-0. Here's the catch to McCardell from Fiedler. A gain of 16 yards. Well, listen to this one, Dan. The total yardage now, Jacksonville 271, Miami 3. I mean, every way you try and cut the pie, it comes out
I wish I had something profound to say.
I'm praying that you will. First down and 10. Left side, Fred Taylor. And if you turn this lane, Taylor helped get this thing started with a 90-yard run in the first quarter. 90. Tackle made by Derek Rogers.
And of course it was, again, I hearken back to last year in that Monday night game here where Fred Taylor opened it up with a 77-yard run against these Dolphins. And even though they had the short work week, all they talked about was big plays, big plays. We know Jacksonville is a big play team. We can't let it happen, and yet that's all there has been, big plays and shoddy tackling by the Dolphins.
McCardell in motion. Fiedler across the middle. Flag is down. McCardell has a first down if the play stands at the 44-yard line. Tackle made by Sean Wood.
Looks like it's coming back. Got to look to the offensive linemen. When none of them make a move downfield, there's no wasted movement by the offensive line.
Chad Brown is the umpire today. And here's a oh my goodness.
Whoa.
Well, why not expect something like this?
Well, they're like cows. They're not moving until they're told to move.
Personal foul. Defense. Number 92. Head slap. 15-yard penalty. First down.
That's on Daryl Gardner. Well, we wondered about Dan Marino's state of mind. Jimmy Johnson has just got to be.
Daryl Gardner is the defensive tackle right there. He's out of the frame, and he must have cranked some. Fred Taylor's down on the ground right there. I wonder if he cranked him.
And the ball is marched down inside the 30.
Well, like, a personal foul is tacked on at the end of the play. The second personal foul so far on this Miami defense. Obviously, frustration rises to the surface when you're getting it put to you like Miami is right now, but you've got to be a professional. You've got to keep it under wraps.
Left side, Taylor in trouble. And Jason Taylor tackles Fred Taylor. Well, let's give you a quick chronology of the Jacksonville possessions today and the results of each. They opened with the opening drive of the game. The highlight was a 41-yard catch by Jimmy Smith. Then an interception led to a field goal. Now a 90-yard touchdown. That makes quick work of a 91-yard drive.
But look at these, Vern. A 2-yard touchdown drive, a 2-play, a 4-play, and a 3-play touchdown drive. That you're supposed to have to work for it a little bit more than that.
Second down and 17. And the carry over the right side by Fred Taylor. CBS Sportsline will deliver the latest sports news and information to you via email every morning. We invite you to sign up today at cbs.sportsline.com. Fred Taylor out, James Stewart in.
And I think it's really the point where you wonder how much more that Tom Coughlin is going to play Fred Taylor.
I think we're going to see a lot of Chris Howard today. 3rd and 12. That's James Stewart heading to the right side, left side. Fiedler tackled at the 22-yard line by Terrell Buckley. Jimmy Smith with the catch.
Jimmy Smith went into the last week of the season chasing Marvin Harrison of the Colts for the NFL receptions lead, and Jay Fiedler at quarterback. And look at this as Terrell Buckley carries him all the way back. But Jay Fiedler got Jimmy Smith the ball 14 times as he ends up the season with 116 to Harrison's 115. And so the Fiedler to Smith connection, not an unfamiliar one to people here in Jacksonville.
Mike Hollis rides the win from 39 yards out. Missed it. He had a string of 14 consecutive postseason field goals made. It's kind of anticlimactic, isn't it? 5:14 to go, first half.
Well, Dan Marino is still at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, facing, what would be an extraordinary accomplishment. It appears to just move into Jacksonville territory. They have 1 first down so far in the game. That was by penalty on their last possession.
Autry Denson is in at running back now, replacing J.J. Johnson. Had a string of 4 consecutive carries in the game against Seattle, and he gets the give on this one to the 31-yard line. Coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report, Jim, Craig, Randy, and Jerry will have first half analysis. I'm anxious to hear that. And the latest playoff news, the Rams' Isaac Bruce will be joining the guys as they preview tomorrow's NFC playoff game between Minnesota and St. Louis. That's all coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report. 2nd and 7.
Of course, tomorrow afternoon, that wonderful matchup between Indianapolis and Tennessee, the 2 strong football teams.
That one might be a lateral. It is a lateral. It is a lateral. That's a free ball, and it is recovered by the Jacksonville Jaguars at the 6-yard line. Donovan Darius got to it first. Autry Denson went behind him, and the officials immediately signal lateral.
Boy, where's Frank Wycheck when you need him?
Pass was backwards. It was a backward pass. Recovered by Jacksonville. First down.
All right, let's take a look at Dan Marino and concentrate not so much on Marino, but the football. And there he is right at the 25. The ball's right at, just inside. And certainly that ball by a good yard or more is a backward pass. And again, Denson doesn't make much of an effort to get to the football. But right there, he pulls up and kind of lackadaisical about really, I think maybe it's dawned on him that it's a live football. But Autry Denson, who's a rookie from Notre Dame, just, again, another Miami mistake.
And an almost aw-shucks attitude, Jimmy Johnson has thrown the red flag out and challenged the ruling.
I don't think he needs the timeout.
No. This won't take as long as it took Phil Luckett last week.
Let's look at it from the sideline camera. There's the ball being released just as Dan crosses the 25. And where Denson touches the ball, he's back around the 23. This is a live football, and again, alertly, Jacksonville realized it. Another look from upstairs. There's the release point right there. Take a look at Dan, release the football. No question that is a backwards pass.
Ed Hockley will go under the hood.
But right there, Denson kind of pulls up. You can't ever assume that it's not a live football as a back. And it all begins with the fact that Denson should have caught it to begin with. But if you don't catch it, at least go get it.
Jimmy Johnson has challenged. So Ed Hockley looking at the replay.
This might be a mercy challenge by JJ.
And if the ruling is upheld, the initial ruling, this will be the 4th Miami turnover.
This might be Jimmy saying they can't score as long as the referee's over there looking at a monitor.
.422 to go before the break.
As with all replays, we remind you that the call on the field was a backwards pass.
Right.
So they'd have to see something conclusive to overturn that.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands as called. The pass was backward, determined from the spot that it leaves the passer's hand to the spot that it touches the receiver. Jacksonville's ball, first down. Miami is charged with their first timeout.
And a nice job by Ed Hockley of using the microphone to explain the ruling.
One last look. Dan delivered the ball. He put it right into the hands of Autry Denson and chalk it up to another in a long list of Miami mistakes.
Well, we need Herman Melville to write a book long enough to document all of the things that Miami has done wrong in this book. Fred Taylor is back. Goes left. Tackled this time at the 7-yard line. Tackle made by Sam Madison.
No gain, second down.
Second and goal.
In case you just joined us, that's not really the real score. We're having technical problems. It's really 0-0.
I have this vision of a guy who's just flown into the Beacon course in Denver, and he's hurrying to catch a connecting flight, and he stops and looks up at the screen. Yeah. And he hasn't had any idea what's going on.
We can't get that score off the screen. It's incorrect.
What do you mean 38-0? I'll accept the late plane, but no.
It doesn't look like 38's going to hold for much longer.
Here's Fiedler back. And that one is in the end zone and intercepted. Went right through the hands of Jimmy Smith.
And I think it also hit McCardell.
And Calvin Jackson grabbed hold of it.
Did this hit two separate Jacksonville players? Let's watch it. You're not going to get tipped. Whoa, it tipped originally by Zach Thomas. That's who hit it first. And then it hits McCardell. I thought I saw it tipped first. It wasn't Jimmy Smith. It was Zach Thomas. Right here, Zach's going to jump up and get his left hand on it. And he knocks it back to the inside where McCardell can only get his left hand on it. And Jackson alertly snaps it out of the air. Well, that's a good effort and a good read by Zach Thomas getting back to the inside.
On first down after the interception, Marino drops back. And that one is up for grabs and almost intercepted at the 45. Dan Marino and Tony Martin had different ideas about the route.
Dan Marino's pass is headed for Tony Martin.
Now this ball nearly intercepted. Dan under duress in the pocket. Let's look at the Jacksonville pressure as it comes right up the middle. Gary Walker, number 96, down around Dan's knees, but Dan had a pretty good look at what was going on. And about 5 yards beyond Tony Martin. Now don't automatically assume that that's a horrible throw by Marino. Tony Martin didn't look to me like he was really digging out that pattern.
Second down and 10. Play fake. Marino. That's caught and it's intercepted in midair. Are you kidding me?
Carnell Lake just takes it away. Vern,
that's going to be a catch, a run, and a fumble. And I don't know that you can go to the book and find any more ways that things can go awry.
Look at the look on Jimmy's face. He's trying to glance up at the video board. I know Jimmy's been down the block and been to a few rodeos himself. Puts the ball right onto the hands of J.J. Johnson. Right to Carnell Lake.
5 Miami turnovers. 5. Cinco.
If you tried to practice that, you couldn't do it.
Foomph.
This has been a collection of both the bizarre and offensively terrifying plays by Miami.
So on the 5th turnover, first down and 10 from the 30, Fiedler will try and conduct another score. Puts it out there, caught by Damon Shelton at the 18-yard line. The fullback, Jay Fiedler, who got to play in relief 4 different times this year. Live above Alltel Stadium today is the Bud 1 airship, providing beautiful aerial shots of Jacksonville and of today's game.
That was a nice soft touch by Jay Fiedler, running to his left for a right-handed quarterback and able to feather it back downfield with accuracy. Jay plays with a lot of confidence.
And off Fred Taylor to the 15-yard line. Well, the name is familiar to everyone who loves music, of course. Arthur Fiedler, longtime conductor of the Boston Pops, and Jay Fiedler's grandfather was a second cousin to Arthur Fiedler, and that's as close as they could get.
Of course, the crowd now singing Deo, which was, of course, one of Arthur Fiedler's biggest hits.
When he got tired of playing Sousa marches. Before this is over, Here's the handoff down to the 10. We'll find a connection between Harry Belafonte and Arthur Fiedler. I guarantee. We have reached the 2-minute warning. 38-0. Well, being solid, upstanding citizens, we wouldn't lie to you. It's 38-0. I don't know whether to say, whoa, Nelly, or oh, my. 38-0.
Bad boy, Vern. Bad boy. It is I think like everyone, I'm in shock. I just can't comprehend how anything else can go wrong for Miami. They have made mistakes in almost every conceivable fashion. And now down 38-0, they're on the verge of even going farther into the hole. And from a perspective of what Jimmy says to this team at halftime, all he can say is, men, you're professionals. You're getting paid to play. Now go out and represent yourself and your city and your franchise with some semblance of pride in the second half.
We shall see. 3rd and 2. Fiedler in the end zone. Receiver fell down. And it'll be 4th down.
Jimmy Smith, Patrick Surtain on the coverage.
It looks like Mike Hollis will get another opportunity to put 41 on the board. I have played this game before, and as has anyone who's really competed, where things just mushroomed and got out of control and went bad. When it happens in this type of a situation, though, in a playoff environment, it's just compounded that much more. The anguish and the pain.
Hollis increases the lead. He's 2 of 3 for the day. 1:47 to go before halftime. Let's reprise the TDs.
I want to see if you can remember them all.
Jimmy Smith, this one is easy, 90 yards.
Yeah, this will take a while. This will take a while. The Jacksonville mantra, many people missing. This is Tony Brackens with the sack, the recovery, and pushed into the end zone by his own guys. Come on, Tony, keep going. You're not there yet. You can do it. You can do it. Fred Taylor once again on the short reception, and again, just look at the missed tackles by the Dolphins. And this
James
is
Stewart.
James Stewart around the left side where there's just nobody there. And at the conclusion of that, Jerry Wilson with a 15-yard personal foul. So we've had interceptions, blocked punts, fumbles. Miami has self-destructed in just about every conceivable fashion.
Lindsey with the kickoff, and this will be a second touchback for Steve Lindsey.
Steve Lindsey's kickoff into the end zone, good for a touchback. First down, Miami at the 20-yard line.
The biggest halftime deficit ever in 1990 in the AFC Championship. The Bills leading the Raiders 41-3. We're at 41-0.
Let's put it this way, Vern. If this was a high school basketball game, they'd go to a running clock.
If this was a high school baseball game, the 10-run rule would be in effect.
That's right. We can come up with a lot of different analogies.
And we'll need to. Left side, flag down.
Aaron Beasley is raising his hands in mock protest to the officials.
And it will be against Jacksonville.
Illegal contact, defense, number 21. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's the second Miami first down by penalty, which I believe is their total for the game.
Right.
The only, think about this, the only 2 first downs the Dolphins have in this football game are on a penalty against Brant Boyer and a penalty against Aaron Beasley.
Blitz coming. Marino. A slant pattern to the 33-yard line. And Rondé Gadsden makes the catch. Coming up in the NASDAQ halftime report, Jim, Craig, Randy, and Jerry will have first half analysis, the latest playoff news. And Isaac Bruce of the Rams will be joining the guys as they preview tomorrow's NFC playoff game between Minnesota and St. Louis. This one to Rob Conrad out of the backfield, and there is an earned first down.
I'm glad the guys are going to get a chance to talk to Isaac Bruce, because he has been a wide receiver that has really, I think, not received the kind of national exposure that he deserves. The Rams had no national television to speak of this year. The country really hasn't had a chance to see how explosive they are. And folks, let me tell you something. Isaac Bruce leads the football team there with Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk. That is the most explosive team in football, and they are not a fluke.
Brackens from the outside. Marino finds Conrad. He slips out of the tackle and has a second consecutive Miami first down at the 44-yard line. Renee Stewart and Aaron Beasley with the stop. Gain of 13. Dolphins with 2 timeouts left. Marino right side. O.J. McDuffie makes the stop. Now let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
Well, Vern, it looks like Freddie Tyler might be a little bit winded from all the work he's gotten today. Word from the Jaguars sideline is that Taylor's been brought into the locker room to get an IV. He should be back. We'll check up on that status and be back with you, Vern.
Okay, thanks, Bonnie. 2nd and 4 from the 38.
If you weren't with us at the very beginning, it's really a cool day here in Jacksonville. The temperature's in the low 60s. That's where it's supposed to be by the end of the day. At kickoff, we were still in the 50s. It looked like a false start on the right side of Miami's offensive line. It's not, it's not the type of weather conditions that you expect dehydration.
False start. Offense, number 76, 5-yard penalty. It's still 2nd down.
That's James Brown, the right tackle. And that will cost the Dolphins 5.
James Brown right here on the right side. Well ahead of the snap. In terms of Miami's mistakes, one of the smaller ones, but added to the list.
Marino tipped from behind Carnell Lake. There was contact with O.J. McDuffie. And Ronaldo Wynn was at the feet of Dan Marino. This is downfield. Yep.
The 3rd time that we've had either a holding or an interference call against
Pass
Jacksonville.
interference. Defense, number 37. Automatic first down at the spot of the foul.
Well, one of the reasons none of the Miami receivers are getting any separation from Jacksonville's defensive backs at all. Dom Capers' scheme here has just smothered everybody, and that's really a good throw by Dan Marino considering the amount of pressure that he was under.
On first down, Marino a little over the head of O.J. McDuffie. He was covered by Donovan Darius on that play, number 20.
But your call was right, Vern. Covered by Darius. Dan's not getting a lot of help as far as having guys open and obviously open in the secondary. A lot written and said about Dom Capers and, the former NFC Coach of the Year and the job he has done here in Jacksonville. And there is Dom, who has to be on most everybody's short list to get back and be a head coach in this league once again.
2nd down, Marino puts it on a line and finds a receiver at the 21-yard line. Rondé Gadsden with the grab. And that's a pickup of 12 and another first down. 30 seconds to go and the clock running. And I believe the Dolphins have used the 2nd of their 3 timeouts. They have indeed.
They lost their first timeout when they had that unsuccessful challenge on the backwards pass.
Monday on CBS, any lawyer can take a case to court. These lawyers take it to the heart. See why millions of viewers have made Family Law Monday's #1 drama. Don't miss an all-new episode Monday on CBS. Alltel Stadium, Jacksonville, Florida. Playoff game between these two teams who've met only once prior to today. That was a memorable Monday night game last year, 28-21. Jacksonville won that one. And, you know, you think back to our conversation at dinner last night, we had a sense that Miami was going to play very well in this and might just win this.
I thought this was going to be a very close football game. Given the way Miami played last week against Seattle, I thought their defense was strong enough to keep this close. I was wrong.
First down. And that one sails 15 feet over the head of Aronde Gadsden. There's a flag, or rather O.J. McDuffie. There's a flag at the 29. Brackens might, yes, he did. He delivered a late hit to Dan Marino.
Holding, offense, number 61, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
No, this is a holding call against Miami. Tim Ruddy, the center, flagged for the holding. There's the hit that Vern was talking about at the end of that play as Tony Brackens really drives Dan into the ground. That makes a threatening gesture and then immediately helps him up and gives him a pat.
So instead of unnecessary roughness, we've got 1st and 20. Marino, Carnell Lake had it slip right through his hands. Intended for McDuffie, but Lake was closer.
It is. There are times it looks like the Miami offense is just telling Jacksonville before the play what they're running. Look at Carnell Lake. It looks like he's the one running the pattern, not O.J. McDuffie. I'd be checking the radio frequencies on these calls here. This is some job being done by the secondary of the Jaguars. It's hard to tell the receivers from the defensive backs by the way they're running pattern.
2nd and 20. Here comes the blitz again. Marino, safety valve left side. Stanley Pritchett. And he's dragged down at the 20-yard line by Aaron Beasley.
Dan Marino's pass complete to Stanley Pritchett.
And the Dolphins use their final timeout to try and get on the board before the break. Well, we begin our NFL coverage for the weekend today, and it will continue tomorrow. Eddie George and the Titans, who defeated this same Jacksonville team twice this year, go into Indianapolis to take on Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James. Chad Bratsky deserves a mention for the kind of season he's had for the Colts. That one's tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern time.
Well, with 9 seconds left, the Dolphins are probably going to try a quick shot into the end zone. Something with a fast release, I would think, so that in case it's incomplete, that there might be enough time to get Mare out here on the field for a field goal.
Blitz again. Right corner, double coverage. And this one is caught. Touchdown. Aronde Gadsden goes up and makes the grab. 20 yards. Fernando Bryant defending.
Well, double coverage. And Dan took a chance and jammed it in there. That's another pass that, you know, could have been intercepted given the coverage and given the fact it was hardly a surprise that they were going for the end zone. Number 25 rather, Fernando Bryant. He's just a little unaware of where he was. And then the safety helped Donovan Darius just a little bit late getting there.
Olindo Mare for the extra point. And the kick is up and good.
And the record, that 41-3 record, stands.
Play comes on 3rd and 10, and it cuts the margin to 41-7.
And they did it in only 6 seconds. Remember, there were just 9 seconds left. Let's take a look at this. I take it back. That's not Donovan Darius. That's Renee Stewart, number 26, the safety that was coming over to help out Fernando Bryant. Stewart, 26, Bryant, 25, and you know that's I'm sure Tom Coughlin and Dom Capers, even though they've got the lead, can't be happy with that because that's a pattern that there aren't many people that didn't think that's what was going to be run.
Well, 41-7 now with 3 seconds to go before the break. Took 80 yards, 9 plays. And Rob Conrad cut a couple over the middle to help set up the touchdown grab by Oronde Gadsden.
So the Dolphins have gone for 2.
You are getting frisky now. The ball at the 31-yard line.
Wonder what the chart says.
Oh boy, we have reached the end of the first half. 41-7. And let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein, who's with Jimmy Johnson.
All right, Jimmy, certainly the score on the last drive is a positive, but for all the motivational speeches you've given in your career, what's going to be in this one?
Well, I've never seen anything like this. Turn the ball over, you can't tackle, crazy me, I actually thought we were ready to play because we had a decent week of practice, but obviously Jacksonville's got a great team and they're playing great.
What's the chances we're going to see Damon Heward in the second half?
We're going to talk about that now.
All right, Jimmy, thanks.
All right, Bonnie. Jimmy Johnson could use a blues song from his old high school teammate Janis Joplin right now. That's the end of the half. 41-7. NASDAQ halftime report is next. Jim, Craig, Randy, and Jerry. First half analysis, and that is all coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report.
Halftime report is sponsored by the NASDAQ stock market.
Wow. Hi, everybody. Jim Nance with you from our NFL Today studios on the NASDAQ halftime report here with Craig, Randy, and Jerry. 41. Hey, we said upset Saturday. You meant upset stomach Saturday.
Oh, yeah, you and I jumped on the bandwagon. Our butt's on the ground right now, Dragon.
You needed to strap on that seatbelt, but I think that might have been the last pass of Dan Marino's career, the touchdown pass to Gadsden. What do you think? Will they pull him for the second half?
No, I don't think so. I think Dan Marino comes back out and plays in the second half. I think this guy's a warrior, and they'll come back. And what people really need to realize in this thing, it's not Dan Marino's fault this first half. Look at the tackling and the lack of tackling by Miami's defense. I coach a youth football team, and I teach my kids to tackle better than they did.
Well, I talked about this being a defensive day. This is Saturday. This is defense. Only one showed up. Jacksonville made this just a complete joke because of the defense, the way they attacked Miami. You've heard of dolphin-free tuna? This is dolphin-free football.
I never heard of that.
You know, I go back to last year's playoffs. In last year's playoffs, Jimmy Johnson got beat by Denver, what was it, 38-3.
Yep.
Well, then he went back and says, I think I'm going to retire. They had to talk about retirement. I'm not so sure this butt whipping doesn't put him in retirement. I look for him to try to get a TV job. He may try to get it. He isn't getting my seat. I'm taking my chair out of here. No way has he got my seat. I'm staying.
Hey, you know, what does the word wingnut mean to you?
Look in the dictionary. There's a picture right over there.
All I can tell you, Jim, if you're watching from the locker room, bring your own chair. BYOC, okay? The NFL Today tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern Time, and we will have for you as we lead up to the game between the Colts and Tennessee, those fine rookies this year, Edgerrin James and Javon Kearse, again followed 1/2 hour later by the game between the Titans and the Colts. Meanwhile, over in the NFC, Minnesota is at St. Louis tomorrow. Coach, you can come on back up.
Okay.
The Rams will be without free safety Keith Lyle, who is still out with a bad shoulder, and Devin Bush will start in his place. Earlier, we had a chance to speak with Lyle's teammate, wide receiver Isaac Bruce, who is headed for the Pro Bowl after catching a dozen touchdown passes this season. And we asked Bruce to describe the mood on the Rams.
Well, right now, these guys are kind of anxious to play. And, you know, I wish you could have been here for practice yesterday. Friday practice normally like kind of somber and guys just walking around trying to get through it. But we were jumping up and down like it was Sunday, like we, you know, do preparing for the kickoff or the kickoff return. We're kind of excited around here. We're raring to go.
Isaac, last year the Vikings were headed to the Super Bowl, had that big old offense just like you guys have right now. What makes us think that the Rams won't suffer the same pitfall and destiny that the Vikings did?
Well, I believe that we won't. I believe that our defense is a tad bit better than the defense of the Vikings had last year. You know, we have guys on the defense and the defensive backfield who like to challenge guys and show that they deserve to be in the NFL. And we have a Pro Bowler back there, Todd Light, you know, who will compete with anybody.
What's been the biggest change in Coach Vermeil this year?
Just letting his assistant coaches coach. I think that's the deal. Just letting Coach Marks do the offense and Coach Genta and Bunning do the defense. And, you know, Frank Gans, he's going to always control the special team. No one can tell Frank what to do.
Hey, what's this weave and bob dance routine you guys got going on in the end zone?
It's called the bob and weave.
Weave and bob?
Somewhere in there.
Almost.
We expect to be doing a lot of that come tomorrow.
There are a lot of doubters out there who are saying you guys didn't beat anyone with a winning record.
Well, I say we didn't make our schedule. You know, the Giants came in fighting for a playoff position. Carolina Panthers, they were in it up until the very end. You know, the Vikings will be a formidable challenge to us, and I think we can withstand the challenge.
And our thanks to Isaac Bruce. And Craig, if you don't mind, we're going to weave and bob or bob and weave through the picks for that game. Jerry, you're up first. Minnesota, St. Louis. What do you think?
Well, I think you have to double Randy Moss. If you double Randy Moss, then you got to stop Robert Smith. But London Fletcher's a good enough linebacker. I think the Rams win it.
Okay, I think this is a ball game here. I'm going to go with St. Louis.
St. Louis wins it because of their defense, and they produce points on defense.
Hey, I learned my lesson about saying a team can't win because it didn't beat a team with a winning record. Rams tomorrow.
Different
And hey, regular season title, folks, a wire-to-wire victory. We've got a trophy for our man, Randy Cross.
Yeah, I got
and, you know, he's had his hands on the Lombardi Trophy 3 times in his life, but nothing as sweet as this, I'm sure. Coach, hand it
wow,
off,
look at the
please.
size.
Yeah.
This is the first time he ever won a trophy when Montana didn't deserve all the
Do I
credit.
get a ring? You know, you guys be nice. I was going to be nice about this, but I had to let you know now. My son Brendan picked the games for the last half of the season. So how's that make you feel?
Oh, by the way, you're not the only one who went wire to wire. Craig, we have a presentation for you. You were in the cellar all season long. Listen to this.
This is the fumble. Uh-oh, I dropped the ball.
You dropped the ball. There you go. All right.
Cherish this moment.
Folks, before we send you back, let's give you a little historical perspective. Our tireless producer, Eric Mann, has dug this one out of the files. Chicago and Washington, the 1940 NFL title game. It was Sid Luckman of Chicago against Sammy Baugh of Washington. And the Skins were picked 8 times as the Bears went on to win it 73-0. Who knows how bad this will get in the second half. 41-7. Thanks for watching the NASDAQ Halftime Report. One more look at the Gout by Fred Taylor.
CBS Sports presentation of the NASDAQ Halftime Report is sponsored by the NASDAQ Stock Market.
Dolphins scored just before the halftime break, and it is now 41-7, Miami trailing. And Steve Lindsay getting ready to kick off. He will be kicking with the wind at his back, and 2 touchbacks already this season. Nate Jaquette will be the deep man. Brock Marion, who normally returns kicks with a hip pointer in the first quarter and has not returned to action. Jerry Wilson also back to lend assistance. Underway with the 3rd quarter. And this one taken by Wilson. And down at the 35-yard line. Dan Marino warming up and getting ready to come back on the field. Vern Lundquist and Dan Deerdorf here as we get set for the start of the 3rd. I think the obvious question is, how long does Marino stay in this game?
Well, I wasn't in the Miami locker room. I'm going to take a guess that Dan Marino and Jimmy Johnson talked. You heard Jimmy say that to Bonnie on the way off. And he probably asked Dan, do you want to keep going? And we all know the competitor, number 13, is. There's no way he's going to voluntarily take himself out of a game. Look at him trying to get his troops a little bit motivated here.
On 1st and 10, Marino still the quarterback. Handoff, J.J. Johnson, and didn't pick much up. Let's take a look at how it broke down statistically, and it really broke down for Miami.
It broke down as this is just complete domination. Over a 300-yard half for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and 5 turnovers resulting in 20 points. We saw virtually every mistake a team could make made by Miami in the first half.
41-7. Here's Marino back into the flat right side. J.J. Johnson. And he completes the pass out to the 41-yard line. Bryce Paup makes the tackle. We check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
Jimmy Johnson left it completely up to Dan Marino as to what he wanted to do. And basically Marino said, I want to go in this series. I want to see if I can get something going on this drive. If I can, I'm going to stay in. If not, I'm going to take myself out. Now on the Jaguars sideline, Fred Taylor still in the locker room getting an IV for rejuvenation purposes only. He can physically return, but it's going to be Coach Coughlin's decision as to whether he does or not, Vern.
All right, Bonnie, thank you. Third down for Marino and the Dolphins. And here comes the pass, incomplete, intended up at the 47-yard line for O.J. McDuffie, and Dan Marino with hands on hips. Wondering, no doubt, what is and what might have been.
Ball thrown back behind O.J. McDuffie. All he does is tip it up in the air. Number 41 there is Dave Thomas. Used to be the starting corner here, and he really held McDuffie up. Did a good job of not letting O.J. get a clean release off the line. And as has been happening all day, the Miami receivers completely dominated by this defensive backfield of Jacksonville.
Fine punt by Tom Hutton. Barlow grabs it at the 10 and hauled down at the 22-yard line.
Tom Hutton's punt returned by Reggie Barlow.
50-yard punt, 12 on the return. Jay Fiedler on the field when we come back.
This telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
41-7 Jacksonville, and the Jaguars on offense. Over on the Miami bench, Damon Heward has taken the jacket off and buckled the chin strap up. So the young man in his third year who started 5 games when Dan Marino was out with a cervical nerve injury, obviously going to replace Marino now on the next offensive series. And immediately the speculation begins, is this or is this not Dan Marino's last game? We chatted with him amiably for 20 minutes last night, and I think you got a sense that he wants to play next year.
I think Dan, when the year is over, is going to make an assessment as to his physical skills and what he still has left to bring to the table. And if he assesses himself as still being physically able to play, I feel strongly Dan wants to come back and play.
First down and 10. And the first defensive play of the second half, Robert Jones cuts through for Miami and makes the tackle on James Stewart. 41-7 Jacksonville. Jaguars will be home next week. They have earned the right to home field advantage throughout with a 14-2 record, and either Indianapolis or Tennessee will come here. Second down and 12. And Jay Fiedler under his center, John Wade. Left side, Stewart gets by Zach Thomas, turns the corner and is out of bounds up at the 30-yard line. Patrick Surtain with the tackle.
Take a look at this. It's just breaking containment on the left-hand side, and here it's become speed. Once Zach Thomas gets by the lead block of Damon Shelton, he just can't quite cover the distance enough to catch up to James Stewart. And Vern mentioned in the first half and what Stewart has done for this football team since being their first-round draft choice back in '95. And when a guy like Mark Brunell says, you know what, he really, over the last couple of years, has been our MVP. Lofty praise.
On 3rd and 2, deep left side, man open. There he goes, Jimmy Smith. No flags. Touchdown, my Jacksonville. Fiedler to Smith. The route continues.
Sam Madison going to the Pro Bowl, whiffs at the line of scrimmage and trying to get a hit on Jimmy Smith. And Brock Marion, playing hurt, has no chance to come over and close the gap. If you're going to take a shot at a receiver like that at corner, you better get him, because then all you are is in a catch-up position. And I don't mean catch-up, I mean catch-up.
70 yards. Fiedler to Smith. 48-7.
Sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of the Super Bowl. Fidelity Investments, we help you invest responsibly. And by GMC, do one thing, do it well.
Another quick strike by Jacksonville, 78 yards in 3 plays. And they have increased the lead as Jay Fiedler finds Jimmy Smith for a 70-yard touchdown pass and catch. This is Jaquette at the goal line. And Jaquette is popped as he gets to the 17. Corey Terry makes the tackle on this one. 78 yards and culminated in a 70-yard toss. Fiedler to a flying Jimmy Smith.
Not bad by Jay Fiedler. And I think Jacksonville, do they have 4 touchdowns on drives of 4 plays or less?
You're absolutely right.
I think, don't they have 3 threes and a 4?
2 4s and 2 3s.
Is it 2 4s and 2 3s?
It's a royal flush, whatever it is. Damon Heward is on to replace Dan Marino.
It's a whole lot of touchdowns without a whole lot of plays is what it is.
Heward, extensive action this summer. And here is Heward. Gets rid of it out of the backfield. There's a flag back at the 17. Tackle made up at the 23-yard line as Gadsden makes the catch.
There was no foul on the play. There was not holding. Second down.
Well, okay.
Now the big difference between Damon Heward and Dan Marino is that Damon does not identify his targets as quickly as Dan. The Dolphins gave up 37 sacks during the regular season, and even though Dan threw the ball 150 times more than Damon Heward, Marino took 9 of those sacks and Damon Heward took 28. So Damon will hold the ball and stay in the pocket a lot longer and get sacked a lot more.
Jaguars are blitzing on the run, and they get J.J. Johnson, Kevin Hardy, and Gary Walker with the tackle.
Third down, Dolphins.
48-7, and more than 75,000 have filled Alltel as the Jaguars set a new attendance record on this really terrific day for a football game, especially if you are from this part of the country and you are a fan of the Jaguars. Third down. Bracken's coming. Heward gets rid of it, and it's dropped. Flag is down as well.
Well, somebody from Jacksonville had to be in the neutral zone at the snap of that ball. There are just too many people in teal jerseys moving around.
Offside, defensive nose tackle, 5-yard penalty. It results in an automatic first down.
Ed with a missed point there. Just assuming that something went wrong for Miami.
So a first down for the Dolphins. 1st and 10 at the 10:41 mark, third quarter. Dan Marino 3 and out in the third quarter. And Damon Heward on in relief. Blitz look again. Here come the Jaguars. Deep right side. He's got a man open and throws it over the outside shoulder. And Tony Martin and Damon Heward misconnect. He was there by 2 or 3 yards.
I believe he threw it over the outside shoulder of the equipment manager.
I was trying to be kind.
This ball ends up well into the Miami bench.
Well, Larry Izzo was in the area. 2nd and 10. Draw play, J.J. Johnson. Dragged down by Gary Walker, number 96. It'll be 3rd down.
And given the state of this game, you can't pass the ball every down. Miami's going to have to run the football. They're going to have to play a little fantasy football here that the score is closer than it is. I think it's safe to say that it's an insurmountable lead. If you feel that way, go ahead and run the football some. And quite frankly, mercifully, try to run some time off the clock.
Shotgun formation for Miami on 3rd and 12. Tony Bracken's appeared to have jumped, but there is no flag down, and the pass is complete up the 38-yard line. O.J. McDuffie makes the grab, and that might be enough to move the chain. Kevin Hardy.
Well, Hardy moves, but was far enough back off the football that his forward movement didn't put him into the neutral zone. Kevin Hardy just about a half step behind O.J. McDuffie, asking an awful lot of a 6'4", 252-pound linebacker to have man coverage on a wide receiver who's running away from him. That's not easy to do.
Blitz again. Heward touched, throws it deep and overthrows O.J. McDuffie. An off-balance Damon Heward trying to guide the ball to McDuffie, who was open.
Damon Heward, who played his collegiate football at the University of Washington.
Teammate of Mark Brunell for 1 year, as a matter of fact.
Actually took over when Mark Brunell left the Husky program. Right idea, just a little too much air under the football.
Now Heward on second down.
Didn't get it off. Didn't get it off. No play.
Play clock winds down. This will cost Miami 5.
Delay of the game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. It's still second down.
Fred Taylor, highlight of his day, a 90-yard touchdown jaunt. Mid-first quarter. Longest playoff run in NFL history. 18 for 135 his totals for the day.
Yeah, and how about that 7.5 yard per carry average? And he made the most of his one catch. That was a 39-yard touchdown. Fred Taylor is a playmaker. A lot of teams in this league don't have one. The Jacksonville Jaguars have several.
Heward with a play fake comes to his left, and it is caught by the tight end Hunter Goodwin. Nope, they're saying now the catch was made out of bounds.
OOB.
And it'll be 3rd and 15.
Big target here in Hunter Goodwin, 6'5", 270. Yeah, you saw he got both feet down, but that was before he actually caught the football, and then he kind of skipped back up into the air when he actually caught it. That put him out of bounds.
3rd and 15. Under 9 to go, third quarter. Blitz again. Heward down again at the 30-yard line. This time it was Gary Walker again.
Well, right now, the Titans and the Colts are watching this game, and both of their respective
we hope they're watching.
Well, they have an interest in watching. I'll guarantee you they're watching, because both of their offensive lines are figuring out how they're going to handle Gary Walker. Gary Walker has talked about making a difference. What he has done for the defensive line of Jacksonville, immeasurable.
Well, Tom Coughlin talking yesterday about, there's the punt taken by Barlow. Having seen Walker in a division opponent's uniform, he knew him well.
And he said, I just wanted a guy that wasn't going to get knocked back off of the ball. The sacks and the pass rushing, a real bonus.
8:30 to go, third quarter, 48-7 Jaguars. They jumped up by 24 in the first quarter, and it has been nolo contendere since then. And Jay Fiedler replaced Mark Brunell midway through the first half and has played quite well. Draw play. James Stewart breaks another tackle. Stewart rips his way out to the 47-yard line. 16-yard gain.
Another missed tackle, and look, he's getting great downfield blocking. Keenan McCardell out in front. He's fighting away with, I believe, Sam Madison to that side. Look at right there on the left side of your screen. Keenan McCardell took Sam Madison 5-6 yards down the field. Now this is a guy this is a star football player in a runaway game, still fighting, trying to help his teammate. That's good work there by McCardell.
And he is in motion now. Gain of 16 last play. Here's Fiedler. Fake to the running back, and the catch made by McCardell, the hard worker, who has got a first down at the 43-yard line in front of Patrick Surtain.
McCardell is the Thunder in the Thunder and Lightning combination, along with Jimmy Smith. Quite a duo. 78 on the year for Keenan, 116 for Jimmy Smith. And what a pleasure it must be to play quarterback for the Jaguars, to have this kind of talent on both sides of the ball.
They'll give it to Stewart. Damon Shelton leads the way. Well, he tried to lead the way. Pretty good defensive job by Sean Wooden, who fought off the block of Damon Shelton, and Stewart knocked out of bounds by Derek Rogers at the 41-yard line. 48-7.
A reminder, the Jacksonville playing today and for the balance of the playoffs without Tony Baselli, their great left tackle, who had surgery on Thursday for a torn ACL, and I'm assuming that every one of these guys, if they had a chance, would say, Tony, this one's for you.
Here's Stewart, left guard this time, inside the 40. Well, that Baselli injury, really unusual, Dan, and I know you kind of wince when you watch this.
Well, because he's not hit by anybody. Look at him there. He's just going downfield to cut off the linebacker, and right there he planted his right foot. The ACL popped, and he waves in the training staff. Went to Birmingham, Alabama to have surgery. It was done on Thursday. Ben Coleman, the converted guard, is taking his place at left tackle. And Baselli remains in Alabama watching the game today, and he's supposed to return back to Jacksonville tomorrow.
35. Fiedler deep left side again. There's a collision.
That's a
and
touchdown.
A catch. Alvis Wooded. First of the year for number 86.
That's pretty good coverage. That's what an effort by Alvis Whitted to go up and get the ball. Again, Sam Madison lets Whitted get out in front of him, but Madison timed his leap perfectly. It just goes right through his hands. Watch Madison go up. It actually touches Madison's hands. Talk about going through his hands. It touches both, and it doesn't ruin the concentration of Alvis Whitted. He brings it down, and Jimmy Johnson, he has to just be wondering, is this some sign from above?
At the very least, it's the lyrics of a country western song. First catch of the year for Alvis Whitted. It goes for a touchdown.
BS is sponsored by Jordan and by Staples, the official office supply provider of the NFL.
After Alvis Whitted's 38-yard catch, 55-7 Jacksonville, and among the 75,000 plus who are on hand today, the commissioner of the National Football League, Paul Tagliabue. Here's Steve Lindsay. Sounds like anti-aircraft fire as he kicks it off. It's taken by Nate Jaquette.
I'm not sure.
Wow. I looked around.
Yeah, no kidding. There's Paul Tagliabue on the left and Gene Washington on the right. Don Weiss of the NFL back in the background. And, of course, Paul Tagliabue, a very popular man here in Jacksonville. Nobody here will ever remember the day when he announced that Wayne Weaver had won the expansion franchise. Gene Washington, the director of football development for the league, and, of course, the man who's responsible for passing along fines to the players. And there's the owner of the Jacksonville franchise, Wayne Weaver. I think it's kind of unfair to be shooting off aerial bombs while the other team has the ball.
Here's Damon Heward in trouble and throws it away. One of the largest, my goodness, they could be found guilty of premature speculation.
Easy for you to say.
No.
Take a look at the large margins.
Carefully.
Chicago, Washington back in 1940 still stands out. 73 to scratch. The sprinklers have come on the football field.
Perfect.
This is unbelievable. The automatic sprinkler system has come on the goal line.
Absolutely perfect.
Somehow
the smoke started it.
I don't know if the concussion from the aerial bombs This is there. They got him turned off. Oh, well, Jimmy, you have seen it all now. There, one of the maintenance guys ran out. Look at the right corner of the end zone. He put a trash can on top.
Where the pylon is.
He put a trash can right there on top of one of the sprinklers.
Somebody call Jerry Seaman, and let's find out if you touch the pylon or the trash can, is it a touchdown?
I think they might want to remove that can here. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but they got to do it carefully. Yeah, okay. Are you kidding me?
Vern,
yes.
This game has gone from bizarre to surreal to I've seen it all, but I guess I haven't. There's still 21 minutes of football left.
Second down and 10. First standing O for sprinkler system in the history of the franchise. Albeit a young history. Here comes the blitz again. Stanley Pritchett comes left and moves it out to the 35-yard line. The Bud One Airship is proud to provide you with these live shots 1,000 feet above Alltel Stadium.
Did that really happen?
I couldn't believe it. Well, it is, I guess, anybody's guess. Concussion or smoke, one or the other set them off. 3rd and 3. Out of the backfield. Catch is made by Troy Drayton, who is normally the starting tight end, but has been hampered with an injury. We did not expect to see him, and I certainly didn't expect to see him at 55-7.
Well, and you get a completion, and it's well short of the first down. Miami will go ahead and punt the ball away as Tommy Hutton comes out. And as you would expect, he's had one block today. Miami running out of things that they could do wrong.
Reggie Barlow is back. Into the wind. Barlow moves up, grabs it at the 30, and nice downfield contact from Larry Izzo, who leads the team in the special teams category. Mark Brunell getting much more of a rest than he anticipated. Coming Sunday on CBS, don't miss the special premiere of an extraordinary new drama about the power of courage and the rewards of sacrifice. Blair Underwood and Vivica Fox star in a City of Angels special premiere Sunday at 8 o'clock, 7 Central on CBS. Dan Marino gave it a go the first 3 plays of this half. Bonnie Bernstein telling you at the break that Jimmy Johnson left the decision as to whether to leave the game up to him. And, of course, now the inevitable speculation about will he or won't he be back with the Dolphins, or might he be back with some other team. First down and 10. Hand off to James Stewart, gets out of a tackle and is caught for a loss. Patrick Surtain, number 23. Well, 7-1 record for the Jaguars at home this year. Dan and I were here for that one loss in a rainstorm to Tennessee. Last second interception Brunell threw in the end zone. But look at the enviable home record they've posted in the last 4 years.
Keep in mind that '96 record was their second year in the National Football League. Of course, Carolina and Jacksonville came into the NFL under a set of rules that we'll never see again. The owners will never allow franchises to enter with the kind of advantages that Jacksonville and Carolina were allowed to have when they came into the league in '95.
James Stewart runs into Zach Thomas after a gain out to the 35-yard line.
Suffice to say,
yes.
Vern, that the Brownies did not enjoy the same type of launching out of the gate that the Jags and the Panthers did.
3rd and 5. And they will host the AFC Championship game here next Sunday against either Indianapolis or Tennessee.
Seen right here on CBS.
Yes, it will be. Jerry Wilson makes the tackle. Well, it started badly for Dan Marino. He threw his first pass into the hands of Aaron Beasley. Shortly after that, Tony Brackens came around, caused the fumble. There's Beasley's second interception. And finally the touchdown, but that didn't mean much. Dan finishes 11 for 25 for 95 yards. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Here's the punt taken by O.J. McDuffie. And he moves it out to the 44-yard line.
You know, that one play by Tony Brackensburg, that is a spectacular play. Stop and think about that. You're talking about a guy, A, gets a sack, B, gets a forced fumble, C, gets a fumble recovery, and D, gets a return for a touchdown. All in one play.
It's a Fairfield fantasy. It's a Fairfield, Texas.
It's about the ultimate for a defensive lineman. Doesn't get a whole lot better than that.
Personal foul. Illegal blocking below the waist. Receiving team, number 88. It's a 15-yard penalty. Miami keeps the ball. First down.
Now, I do think I agree with you that it's it's a lineman's fantasy fulfilled, but he's going to take a certain razzing from his teammates for having to be encouraged into the end zone.
Encouraged, cajoled, pushed, carried, shoved. You name it.
A long time ago, this play happened.
Look at this. If someone from Miami just touches Tony Brackens while he's on the ground, the play is over. You see a touch right there. Tony, go, my man, go.
And it was Bryce Bopp who said, come on, we got to go this way. Number 95. Here's the handoff out to the 30-yard line. J.J. Johnson.
J.J. Johnson, the ball carrier.
J.J. with that big game in Seattle last week. Seems that's distant memory right now, I'm sure, for J.J. Johnson and the rest of this team. Coming next, 2 traditional rich powers collide when the UCLA Bruins take on Ed Cota and the North Carolina Tar Heels. That's down at the Dean Dome, and it's next here on CBS. We near the 2:05 mark at the third quarter. Ewert, wide open receiver. It's Martin out to the 45-yard line. Gadsden, rather, 86 instead of 80. And a gain of 15 and a first down.
Gain of 15. First down, Miami.
And there is speculation, Dan, not only obviously about, well, let's take a look at this.
Yeah, we'll go back and again, Damon Heward, he's afforded good pass protection. Look at that good throwing lane that he's got from a vision standpoint, and Aronde Gadsden, a big receiver and a guy that's really become an important part of Miami's offense. And believe me, this game notwithstanding, they do have some offense.
Lonnie Martz on a blitz.
Untouched.
Absolutely untouched. 4th sack of a Miami quarterback today.
And we talked about the sack difference between Dan Marino and Damon Heward. The difference there, Dan probably would have just launched that football towards somebody. Dan Marino just never shy about throwing away the football, although Dan very well might have been sacked there as well, too. That was just an unaccounted for linebacker right up the gut.
2nd down and 19. Batted back. Add that one to the chronology of things that have gone wrong or that have been forced to go wrong by the Jacksonville Jaguars today.
Well, it's been a combination of both. Jacksonville, first of all, their defensive line has just been stellar today. And that's just effort. That's just making a decision that you can't get to the quarterback, so get up in the air. And Amarlis Leroy, the defensive tackle, he got up, he got it. I guess actually it's Leroy, isn't it?
Yes.
I knew I'd say it wrong.
It is, that's okay.
Amarlis Leroy.
Rush from the outside. Heward on 3rd and 19. Fires 10. Oh, boy. Oh, wow. And this is going to be a blow to the head. Absolutely.
Well, you are not allowed to take that shot against a receiver who's in a defenseless position.
Renee Stewart, number 26.
Now, will they pick it up?
And say the ball was tipped.
Pass interference, offense, number 86. The penalty is declined.
Whoa.
Brings up 4th down.
No flag at all on the hit. And this is a big time. Well, That's one way to try to get off the ball. Gadsden using his size. What a shot. Whoa, that's an attention grabber, isn't it?
And you know what? It may have been shoulder high.
It was shoulder.
Initially, I think we both thought helmet high. Here's the punt, and Barlow. Nifty return out to the 45-yard line. That's a 43-yard punt and a 25-yard return. Greg Jeffries with the tackle.
That's James Stewart, the running back. He's having his ankle rewrapped over on the Jacksonville sideline, and he's getting most of the work since Fred Taylor came out of the ball game after his spectacular effort.
Let's get a report from Bonnie Bernstein.
Yeah, Vern, it does look like a little bit of an ankle strain. They haven't given me official word. He walked around on it, grimaced, but he just said to the trainer, tape it up and let me go back in.
55-7. He wants to get back out there.
Surprised Fred Taylor isn't over there wrapping through.
And Chris Howard is in the backfield now. On first down, Fiedler to Chris Howard. 2 yards. And we near the end of the third quarter of play. Robert Jones, number 52. Damon Heward getting some medical attention on the Miami bench. This is Larry Smith, who is on the cart and is in the process of being taken to the locker room. We've reached the end of 3. Jaguars lead at 55-7. We'll return to Alltel Stadium right after this word from your local station. Alltel Stadium, Jacksonville leads at 55-7. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we direct your attention to the north end zone, where we would like to announce the 1999 NFL Gatorade Punt, Pass, and Kick National Championship to 7.
And I'm sure neither Tom Coughlin nor Jimmy Johnson can really believe what's happened. Of course, it's good fortune and good play for Tom Coughlin, and it has been the exact opposite for Jimmy Johnson and the Dolphins. They've had a few unfortunate things happen to them, but they have played really poorly as a team.
Jay Fiedler continues at quarterback, and Chris Howard is the running back, the second down play. Word from the bench is that James Stewart, with that bad ankle, is questionable to return in this ball game. Want to get him ready for next week's AFC title game, which will be held here. And Jimmy Smith probably done for the day too. What a remarkable story of resilience this young man is. 1992 second-round draft pick of Dallas, broke his leg, played only 7 games. 1993 emergency appendectomy, out for the year, filed a grievance against Jerry Jones, which he won. 94 released, cut by the Philadelphia Eagles, out of football for a season, to be continued. Here's Fiedler, and the handoff to Chris Howard, spins and works his way for a first down at the 44-yard line. And then Jimmy Smith was given a chance with an expansion team. All he wanted was an opportunity to play special teams. And once he got on the field here, not only resilience, but really a redemptive career that he's had.
And what a quality person as well, a leader of this football team. And again, to everybody out there, when you think that you've hit a dead end, when you think that I'm doing the wrong thing or I can't persevere, a guy like Jimmy Smith is exactly the reason why you ought to keep pressing. And we got a false start there.
Yep.
But it's really a case of, think about it, a guy out of the game for an entire year,
Offense.
and he ends up leading the league in receptions.
It's still first down.
And let's check in with Bonnie Bernstein.
Add a little bit to the Jimmy Smith saga. He caught 116 balls in the regular season, an NFL high, but this guy is incredible. He said, I could have broken Herman Moore's record of 23 in 1995. He said, I dropped 10 passes, and he was able to ramble off every single one of them. He said 6 in 2 games against Cleveland, 2 against Cincinnati, 1 against Carolina, 1 against the 49ers. But you guys have told his whole NFL story. He really counts his blessings every day he's out on the field.
And he hasn't dropped one today, that's for sure. Here's Chris Howard to the right side.
The great ones always look to their mistakes as an opportunity to learn. And that's exactly what Jimmy Smith is doing when he can recall every one of those drops. Of course, catching 14, the final game of the season from the team's backup quarterback.
Yeah, Jay Fiedler threw him 19.
Right? I hope Jimmy took Jay to dinner or bought him something. That is an unexpected treat when a guy like Jay Fiedler delivers the NFL passing title to you.
Second down and 11. Chris Howard, number 24, goes right. Banged down by Zach Thomas, number 54, and Sean Wooden, number 22.
Gain of 3, third down.
Well, the coverage of the NFL continues on CBS tomorrow afternoon. Eddie George and the Titans against Peyton Manning and the Colts in Indianapolis. The winner of that game comes here a week from Sunday. But the Titans and the Colts have at each other tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, and it begins with the NFL today at 3:30.
And something tells me that Jacksonville is rooting for Indianapolis because I don't think they want to see the Titans again. That 14-2 record, the 2 belong to Tennessee.
Yeah, one here, 20-19, in a rainstorm back in late September. And then the next to the last week of the regular season, as they would say down Texas way, the Titans laid a whooping on them.
41-14,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It'll be 4th down. Jay Fiedler gives way to the punter, Brian Barker. And Nate Jaquette back to return it. Now we get signs of some folks who've got other things to do. They're starting to stream out of here now.
Brian Barker, by the way, the oldest player on Jacksonville's team.
The oldest?
At 35. Can you imagine that?
I can't imagine being 35.
Why?
Neutral zone infraction. A member of the defense came into the neutral zone, causing the false start. 5-yard penalty. It's still 4th down.
I would think that if anybody would live to be a ripe old age, it'd be a punter. Not exactly the most stressful position in the National Football.
No, you might have aspired to that. Had things gone differently.
No, I wasn't good enough. But it's hardly a position where there's a lot of physical wear and tear.
No, but a lot of those guys are pretty good athletes.
And you don't have to walk out there, with 1 second left on the clock, the way the field goal kicker does.
I'm going to show my age here, and which I feel comfortable doing in your company. Here's the punt.
Call the game.
Down at the 2. Well, why not? I suppose you're not going to tell Ron Woodby stories.
Well, let's hear it. And we'll after the commercial. How's that?
That's a deal. We need some stuff. .50 to go in this one. Jacksonville up 55-7. Damon Heward on in relief of Dan Marino, and the Dolphins huddled in their own end zone. First down at the 2-yard line. Autry Denson is the running back. Deep man in the eye. Shifting defense. Hardy comes on the near side. And they hand it to Denson, who fumble, loose ball, and Jacksonville has it.
I think if Jimmy had a white flag, he'd be waving it.
Donovan Darius, number 20. 6 Miami turnovers.
Thinking to myself before the snap, we haven't seen a safety yet. This is worse. Never got the football. It was his own knee that kicked it out, but you could see that Denson never cleanly got the handoff from Damon Heward. Never got it put away, never secured. Let's look at that one more time. Take a look at the handoff. Heward puts it right there, but Denson doesn't have his hands in the proper position to take the handoff. He loses it. He's already never had it.
And it's first down and goal, Jacksonville. Chris Howard is the deep back.
Are they really going for a score in the 60s? I can't comprehend this.
Howard left side. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Touchdown, Jacksonville. I swear we saw the film of the Chicago-Washington game, 73-0 run at halftime. I never figured we'd make reference back to it again.
Power football right off the left side, whether Tony Baselli is there or not. Tom Coughlin calls the same play, and that's just great power. That is just wonderful power by Chris Howard as he drags Zach Thomas right into the end zone.
Mike Hollis with the extra point.
I've been working the NFL, Vern, and played. I've never seen a game this out of control. I can't recall. It is 62-7.
I first broadcast in this league in 1967, and I concur with your thoughts.
Is sponsored by Honda, a winning lineup of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans. Blue from American Express, and by United Airlines, now offering more legroom with our new Economy Plus section.
We still have 10:37 to go in this ball game, and it is 62-7. There's the spot where about a half an hour ago the sprinklers came on. We might wish for that to happen again.
I don't think I've ever done the game, Vern, where you needed 8 touchdowns to tie.
Short kickoff, and it's Nate Jaquette up to the 50-yard line, across midfield, and down at the 47. Damon Shelton with the tackle. 62 points. That is the most in AFC playoff history. Most ever scored in a single game. We refer back to that 73-0 debacle generations ago.
1940?
Yep.
Is that when that game happened? Well, a real laugher for the Jags, and anything but for Miami.
46-yard line. Here's Denson, gets the handoff. Down as he gets to the 45. Lonnie Martz, number 56.
Autry Denson, the ball carrier, tackled by Martin Leroy. Gain of 1.
Now Mark Brunell, watched him practice on Thursday, and he said he felt very comfortable, but he's still dealing with a grade 2 sprain of the medial collateral ligament, and this just could not have been better for him.
No, now he gets an entire week, actually a week and a day to get ready, because they won't play until next Sunday. So you're right, Vern. It's the absolute best scenario.
Play fake, second down and 9, and the pass is incomplete at the 33-yard line. The coverage from Jason Kraft, number 29.
Intended for number 80, Tony Martin, incomplete. Jason Kraft on the coverage. Third down, Dolphins.
Coming tonight on, well, coming a little later on CBS. We'll talk about it in just a bit.
Is there a new game show?
Yeah, I think so. It's called Winning Lines. You want to hear some more about it?
After this play, maybe.
I bet you will. Third and 9. From the corner, Smengi, Heward, incomplete. It'll be 4th down. Now then, as promised.
Do it, big guy.
It's Winning Lines, the exciting new game show from the creators of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Last week, a soccer mom won $500,000 in 3 minutes. See what happens tonight? Winning Lines tonight on CBS. This game has gone on so long, Dick Clark is starting to show his age.
Well, one thing that will start after this game.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Unbelievable.
Perfect.
Tom Hutton drops the ball.
That's a live ball.
No, I think
now they're going to say down by contact.
Yeah. It looked like I caught it out of the corner of my eye. It looked like a good snap, didn't it? Looked like Ed Perry delivered a good snap, but Hutton just dropped it.
Hard to believe.
If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it.
2:33 to go in the game. 62-7 Jacksonville. Most points ever scored in AFC playoff history. And quite obviously, you would assume most points ever scored by the against the Miami Dolphins. And Jacksonville's history only goes back 5 years, but they're rolling in this one. They defeated San Francisco. That was the 41-3 game. And here is Mark Brunell looking on. Chris Howard, Jay Fiedler in the backfield, and Chris Howard just keeps adding to the stats.
Vern, I am standing here just going through the mental checklist of the mistakes made by the Miami Dolphins today. And seriously now, I can't recall ever seeing a team make so many mistakes across the board. You know, there have been mistakes where one quarterback has thrown 7 interceptions or something like that. But this has been a litany of errors all across the Dolphins roster by virtually everybody. It's an extraordinary day for Miami in the negative sense.
2nd down and 1. And I would suppose if I'm a Jacksonville fan sitting at home watching this game now, I think, well, wait a minute. You know, the Jaguars have scored 62. So, you know, but it really has been Miami's self-destruct button, don't you feel? That
Jacksonville has physically beaten Miami today. I think both of their lines have dominated the line of scrimmage. Certainly Jacksonville has won this game outright. So let's get that out on the table. But still, Miami has aided them along the way with one disastrous error after another. It's stunning. I'm struggling to describe it.
Jacksonville in excess of 500 yards of offense today. Damon Shelton gets the handoff here.
Damon Shelton, the ball carrier, tackled by Tim Collins.
You see that Miami is saying that Jacksonville fumbled the ball.
Well, they're unstacking bodies.
What the heck? All of a sudden, one of the Dolphins gets floored. Oh, we don't need a fracas now.
No.
Let's not. Most of the officiating crew, including Ed Hockley, was still over trying to ascertain who had possession of the football.
Looks like Kyle Brady might have been involved. And Sam Madison might have been involved. And in the meantime, they're apparently.
Now, this was a dead ball foul. This came way after whatever happened before. So if Miami recovered the football, it'll be theirs. And then they'll march it off after that.
The ball was fumbled and recovered by Miami. After the play was a personal foul, unnecessary roughness by Jacksonville, number 80. It's a 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Let's first look at the fumble.
Just a simple handoff to fullback Damon Shelton, and the ball is out before he hits the ground. So Miami got the ball, and then at the end of it, way afterwards, Kyle Brady gets the 15-yarder.
Autry Denson comes left and is tackled at the 48-yard line. Let's go back and see the end of that play.
Mike Arnold, our director, Lance Barrow, our producer. There's at the top. You see right there, number 80. He's kind of pushing and shoving with Sam Madison. And Madison ended up flat on his back. Of course, Brady at 6'6", 275, a formidable foe for little Sam.
503 total yards, 8 touchdowns. 2nd down and 9. Heward back. Here comes the rush, and Marlos Leroy got there first. There's another fumble by Miami.
They recovered it.
And they did recover.
Yeah. I think one of the offensive linemen covered it up. Is that James Brown or Richmond Webb? Comes up with it. Richmond Webb comes up with it, I think.
Recovered by Richmond Webb.
Leroy in there again. Marlos Leroy, the rookie from Georgia. He's been a beneficiary of his team having such a big lead. He's a guy that doesn't get to play a whole lot. And he's getting a lot of playing time here with Jacksonville resting a lot of their starters, all the starters they can.
3rd and 13, 62-7, 4-man rush. Eward finds Conrad, but that is short of the first down. So the Dolphins will go for it on 4th down from the 43-yard line. Dave Thomas, number 41, Lonnie Martz, 56.
Well, Vern,
no, they're not going to go for it.
No, they're going to punt. And now, when this game ends, Jimmy and the team get on the plane. They have the short flight back to Miami, and then the future of Jimmy Johnson and the future of Dan Marino and the future of the Miami Dolphins becomes front and center, to the point where they're not even, I'm not sure they'll spend a whole lot of time talking about this game. The future of those two and whether or not their futures are intertwined from here on, a big topic of debate.
Here's Hutton's punt. Bounces at the 5 and will be down at the 1-yard line. Ray Hill down to put his hands on the ball. 62-7.
On CBS is sponsored by Acura. Cars are our passion, engineering is our art. And by the United States Marine Corps, the change is forever.
5:47 to go in regulation play. 62-7 and a third quarterback on now for the Jaguars. Jonathan Quinn, in his 3rd year from Middle Tennessee State, actually started 2 games last year and played in 4. And the handoff goes to Chris Howard, who is out across the 5 to the 6.
It's been a nice opportunity for Chris Howard to shine here, Vern. He's run hard. Take a look at the size of Jonathan Quinn at 6'6", 238. Hasn't completed or attempted a pass in 1999. Got some playing time last year. That's where those numbers come from.
Well, if he attempts or completes a pass now, we got a story.
Yeah, I'm sure he said, thanks a lot, Tom, when he gets sent out there on the 1-yard line.
5:05 to go. And the handoff to Howard again. So Mark Brunell played a little more than the first quarter. Jay Fiedler came on in his place. And now Jonathan Quinn is the Jacksonville Jaguars work on the clock with a 62-7 lead. And over on the far side, it's so difficult to imagine what must be running through the minds of the coach and the quarterback.
And the entire team, they have to just be numb and in shock. Who would ever imagine that this could happen to anybody in the playoffs? It's inconceivable to think that you could walk out, be a playoff caliber team. I don't care if they're the 6th seed or not, to walk out on the field and just be devastated.
There's the handoff on 3rd down. Rushing yardage prior to that play, respectively, for Jacksonville, 246 yards. For Miami, 16.
And Troy Drayton right there saying, I don't even want to see it.
And so the punting unit comes on. Brian Barker. Ron Whitby. Ron Whitby was the punter for the Cowboys. You were disparaging the athletic talents of punters.
I was not.
Well,
I was saying what a
great job.
Lack of contact and a lack of pressure job. Yeah, I think.
Okay.
All right.
I
didn't say they weren't good athletes.
I misspoke. Whitby was a professional basketball player, a professional golfer, and a punter. I never dreamed I'd get that into this broadcast. There's the return to the 28-yard line.
No, nor did I. Nor did Ron.
Make you proud?
Yes.
Tonight on CBS, the start with Winning Lines, the exciting new game show hosted by the ageless Dick Clark. Don't miss the action and learn how you can play at home. And it's an all-new Candid Camera, followed by Sammo Hung and Arsenio Hall and martial law. And finally, Chuck Norris stars in Walker, Texas Ranger, an all-new lineup tonight on CBS.
There's Rich Tilsky, the left guard, and been really a good outing for the offensive line today of Jacksonville.
Damon Heward will put it deep left side. Good man coverage from Dave Thomas. The pass intended for O.J. McDuffie. Well, the place emptying out now as the Jaguars will Go to work on either Tennessee or Indianapolis, and the live aerial views of Alltel Stadium provided by the Bud 1 airship. Second down and 10. Blitz. Pass left side, incomplete at the 15-yard line. Jason Kraft defending.
Vern, you and I were speculating about the futures of Jimmy Johnson and Dan Marino. The first choice, the first option is going to belong to Jimmy Johnson. His decision has to come first. Dan Marino has a $7.5 million cap figure against the 2000 roster of the Miami Dolphins. And Dan's either going to have to renegotiate. If it gets down to the fact that Miami maybe chooses to release him, that can't happen until after June 1st. Or else they take a huge salary hit. Jimmy's first in line, though. Jimmy's got to make a decision as to whether or not he wants to come back next year.
Here's Heward rolling right. Escapes the tackle, fires it deep in the end zone, is tipped, and then dropped. Jason Kraft on the deflection as McElmurray hit it first, and Renee Stewart, rather. Number 26 was back there.
Heward wasn't across the line of scrimmage?
Yes, he was. Yep. There is a flag.
He looked like he was way
I did Hockley.
But Jimmy has to make the decision. Is his heart in staying with the Miami Dolphins? Does he retire and go to his house down in the Keys? Does he go back into the broadcasting business where he was a success before with Fox and with HBO? I think everyone knows that ABC has been interested in talking to Jimmy about possibly doing Monday Night Football.
Illegal forward pass. Offense, number 11, threw the ball from beyond the line. 5-yard penalty from the spot of the pass and a loss of down. Brings up fourth down.
Take a look right here, the line of scrimmage, the 27-yard line. And let's, the 28 we'll call it, and let's go ahead and see Damon Heward and where he ends up releasing this football. Remember, it's where the ball is, not his body. Say Damon's down closer to the 25 by the time he actually ejects the ball. But you know, Jimmy said to us yesterday, he said, I think a lot of people are jumping to conclusions that if I retire from football that I'm going to do anything.
Right.
Jimmy is financially independent, and if he chooses to go sit and fish in the Keys, he doesn't have to work to put any bread on the table.
On fourth down, here's Heward, and it's knocked down by Blaine McElmurray, number 38. So the ball goes over on downs at the 3-minute mark. Yeah, he thought about your question last night about his future for quite some time, and then said, just be aware that if I choose not to come back and coach, I might not do anything.
Yeah, don't assume that I'm going to go into broadcast.
Right. Coming up on the American General postgame show, Jim, Craig, Randy, and Jerry will get you caught up on all the playoff news. Plus, we'll hear from the winners of today's Miami-Jacksonville game, and Marcus Allen reports from Tampa, where the Redskins are getting set to take on the Buccaneers. All coming up on the American General postgame show. Jonathan Quinn hands it off to Chris Howard, number 24. And the clock goes under the 2:50 mark, and will be followed by NCAA basketball on CBS. That follows the American General postgame show. It'll be UCLA and North Carolina from Chapel Hill next on CBS.
I think about the Dolphins. I think about Jimmy Johnson and that decision he has to make, Vern. If he chooses to retire, what a way to leave the game. Your last coaching job is a team that gets beat 62-7 if that ends up being the final score.
Chris Howard coming left.
Chris Howard from the University of
Michigan. I don't have my Tom Jackson impersonation down quite as well as I should.
But I appreciated the effort.
2-minute warning. Texas Lutheran. 2 minutes remaining in regulation. 62-7 Jacksonville leading Miami. This one has been a rout from almost the opening drive. Look ahead now at what Jacksonville will await come next week, Indianapolis or Tennessee.
Well, I'd say Jacksonville has a confidence level at a pretty high level, wouldn't you, Vern? This is a football team, obviously, that knows they deserve that 14-2 record. They took heat all year about not beating a winning team all season. Well, now they have, and I'd say they've beaten a team with a winning record pretty convincingly. So from a confidence standpoint, I don't think Tom Coughlin's team could be in much better position.
Third down, and Chris Howard short of the first down at the 40-yard line.
And Vern, as we come to the end of this game, I just want to tell you something. My first year back here at CBS, I want to thank you and everybody in our production team. This has been a really fun year for me, and I just want to thank everybody who's traveled with us on a weekly basis for making my life enjoyable. And it's been fun working with you, Vern.
Thank you, 72.
Thanks for a great year.
The Hall of Famer Dan Deerdorf, I can only echo your sentiments. It's been one of the most enjoyable years that I have had. There have been a few of them.
Was it the most enjoyable? Oh,
yes, it was. Yes. Fourth down. And Barker's on to punt. This one will be returned. Nate Jacquette has it. Across the 50 and down at the 49-yard line with 1:05 to go. 29-yard return.
Returned by Nate Jacquette from the Jaguars' 49-yard line. Tackled by Blake.
The executive producers of the NFL on CBS are Sean McManus and Terry Ewert. The coordinating producer of the NFL on CBS, Larry Cavallina. Today's game produced by Lance Barrow, directed by Mike Arnold. The senior producer of the NFL Today is Eric Mann. The NFL Today directed by Bob Matina. The associate directors of today's game, Andy Goldberg and Sean Robbins. The associate producer, Carl Schlickspear. The broadcast associates, Fred Johnson and Mark Burghardt. The field technical manager, Steve McEwen. And the technical director of today's game, Mitch Geller. But thanks to the guys in the booth as well. Chuck Gardner, Chris Hellum, Nancy Lundquist helping with the spotting. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win this one 62-7.
And I would think have silenced the critics about a soft schedule. Hey, they didn't make it up. They took it. They won 14 games with it. And now they have opened the playoffs the way anybody could only dream about starting the playoffs. And the home field advantage, and this crowd will be back here 8 days from today.
Well, no questions for Jacksonville. Enormous questions surrounding Jimmy Johnson and Dan Marino. And I don't think those will be questions answered immediately.
Well, it's up to Jimmy. Jimmy's got a little soul searching to do. I hope whatever decision he does make, that he does make relatively soon, so that if he's coming back, that he can get on with the business of getting this team ready for next year.
62-7 is the final. In excess of 500 yards of offense for the Jacksonville Jaguars. 7 turnovers for the Miami Dolphins. The American General postgame show with Jim Craig, Randy, and Jerry coming up next. The final 62-7. For Bonnie Bernstein and Dan Deerdorf, I'm Vern Lundquist saying goodbye from Jacksonville, Florida.
We should be throwing up 28, 35 points a game.
We have to score points. We can't put it all on